Was it on go or then go? Go then record?
It's
On
hit go and then you click go.
Okay.
Or you click start.
Did you
think
start
I'm-
recording already?
I think I recorded. I've been recording for 20 minutes. No.
Okay.
That's fine. We'll talk about Lebanon then a little bit later.
No,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I don't want to talk about.
That's the one thing I explicitly asked not to speak on. Oh, God.
So, are you both drinking water? I feel like a
I am drinking water. I need to be
asshole drinking
hydrated.
anything but
Oh, yeah.
water. Okay, fair. Yeah.
I've got
water guy
several
over here.
Diet Cokes in my fridge. I could go get one for posterity and kinship.
If you wanted to crack one open, with the boys,
I will not drink it, but I'll have it.
you'll just hold it up.
It's defeating the purpose a little bit, no? We've got to drink in solidarity together.
But news to me,
Yeah.
apparently the Oreo Coke is not only good, it's addicting.
Yeah.
It's fucking delicious. It tastes just like Oreos. I haven't had the Oreos that taste like Coke yet. Those aren't in my supermarket, but the Coke that tastes like Oreos is fucking good.
The fact that it does taste like Oreo is exactly what bothers me about it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
good. It's a good combo.
It's the liquefied Oreos that sounds disgusting. See, even like I'm
It's not
saying
like
it to
that.
you, the addict, and you scrunched your face up. You were like, "Oh, that."
I
does
scrunched
sound
my
gross."
face. No, well, yeah, because that's not what it is. It's not like you're envisioning like the blended cookie thing. It's more like the Coke has the flavor of the cream.
Oh,
It's-
that's even
it's
worse.
distilled
That's so
Oreo
fucked
flavor,
up. That's
pure
horrible.
Oreo.
It's good.
Can I swear on this
It
program?
sounds
I'm
pretty
just
bad.
kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We swear all the time.
Ricky answers
That's
in
80% of what we
earnestness.
do. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I noticed that Ricky busted out the laptop.
Yeah, I had
Ricky,
to.
can you talk about your setup for us? Yeah, just in case any new watchers are here.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod before, but I don't know. Lane says that I need to have the camera rolling, so I need it on the laptop because I don't have a webcam. And also, Discord doesn't pick up two audio tracks well. It always is like, oh, okay, you have a default recording device, great, we'll use that. And then that doesn't let my sound recorder use the microphone. So I have to have the microphone on my computer and then good old trusty gamer headset on with the laptop.
It doubles the size of your head.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
your
it's-
pain. I've got the computer, I've got a tablet, I've got my phone here, and the microphone's here, and my water, which is not technology. It's
water.
It's a naturally occurring substance in the known Earth world, but
The
it
bottle
is taking up
technology.
space. Well, the bottle's
That's
not
pure
tech.
tech, man.
It's not
That's tech.
You
It's
guys
a
are using
product.
you're using the water to cool. It's cooling off the system.
It is a
You're pouring it
cooling
actually
water
on-
bottle.
yeah.
It
Water
is the one
cooling.
Yeah.
where it maintains the temperature. Fascinating invention.
Ooh.
That's tech, bro.
What
It's tech,
tech I
yeah.
associate with electricity.
Yeah, I think anything like...
No.
Is there
if you start making
electricity in water?
pencils, cuneiform tablets, that's boom, that's tech.
I know there's electricity in the human body, but is
There's-
there electricity in water?
There's electrolytes.
No, there's
like the,
electricity in the human body. I know I heard this in a movie that was scientifically sound.
No, there is, yeah, and your synapses and shit, and your
Yeah,
nerves.
in
But,
my- in
but
my
if
neurons.
Water has electrolytes. It's what the plants crave.
Okay.
It's what
It's true.
This is
you
tough.
could say anything right now, and I would be like, "That's true. That's 100% factual
100%.
information. There's nothing to question."
Buddy, I got a bridge to sell you, okay? That's all I have to say.
Also, I
Is
noticed
it
you have
in
a
Texas?
towel. What looks like a towel on your chair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
my towel. It's
I
head
had
towel,
I had my teal sweatshirt
You
hanging,
get head with that towel?
hanging on the. I'm getting away from the microphone. I had this hanging on the back of my chair, and I was like, "That's bad decorum," and then I threw it on the ground.
Oh, I've got the worst decorum.
I'm
This
trying
used to
too
hang out,
hard.
I was gonna
on my
say.
door, and Lane would call it out randomly.
Could you repeat
Yeah.
that? What was that?
All the time.
It used to hang up on the pull-up bar on my door, and Lane would just call it out mid-pod, be like,
How many
"Do I see a ghost in
pull-ups?
the background?"
How many pull-ups a week do you do?
A week? Probably 10, right around there. Yeah.
That is more than not. I'm not not to assume anything of you. I just feel like pull-up bars are decoration.
It is for the most part. It helps. It holds my door open, which is like useful.
It holds
like,
my door
so
open.
Lane will confirm that door likes to close, and they actually had like a little like paper doorstop there, which is still there. But the pull-up bar is also there to help reinforce that.
A paper doorstop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a piece of cardboard or something that I had found that I was like, let's use this since I used to live there.
I feel like I keep going off on tangents. I feel like every new thing, I'm just like, wait, paper doorstop. Wait, cardboard. Wait,
that's okay.
Towels on chairs.
That's the kind of energy we need.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, we're usually a pretty buttoned up, like chill, very to the point podcast. So really, this is a bit of energy. Ricky, what is this? What are we doing?
We want to watch.
Yeah.
We're podding that we want to watch. I'm Ricky.
I am Lane, and we have a third special guest here today. Nick, friend of the show, kindred letterbox spirit. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. I almost was like going to do a dance, but then I realized this is only an audio medium, so it would have been pointless. But I'm happy to be here.
Dude, acting things out, always appreciated by us, not by any of the watchers at home, because they don't see it. But
I'll narrate. You know, I'll describe what you're doing if you do. If it's cool, if it's funny. If it's not, I'm gonna say
if
so.
it's cool.
No, if it's not, Lane just gives the deadpan for like 10 seconds, and then we cut to the next bit.
The classic delete this nephew.
Yeah.
True,
yeah, exactly.
actually. Yeah.
This is like
we have you on. Oh,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, these headphones are, like, notoriously unreliable in video calls. So if there's a point where I cut out, just feel free to, like let me know so I can
Will do.
shut up and fix the problem.
Will do. Surprisingly, Discord has been a very reliable medium for us. Like, we have had, I mean, knock on wood, but, like, we have had very little interference or, like, technical issues, so...
For the watchers, Lane knocked on their head when saying knock on wood.
I'm cutting all this shit
comical
out,
bit.
you clown.
Well, you can't cut it out now. Ricky just made a great joke.
No,
Yeah,
Lane cuts whatever they want to
4-hour
cut.
episode.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll be here till 10, right?
No, we
That's what we
the
said
fuck
yesterday.
won't. Okay, so this week we invited Nick on. So it can't be a Nick's pick. So a Nick's or
Nick's flick.
a Rick's. Yeah, I think it has to be a Nick's flick. Are you okay with this?
I'm cool with this.
We
Well,
saw
also,
your
I didn't pick the movie. You just know that I like the movie. So you were like, come
Okay.
That's what happens
Well,
with
no,
a lot
I gave
of
you-
the Rick's picks and now Nick's flicks as well. It's Lane going, "Ooh, are you sure you want to watch that one? Why don't we watch a good movie instead?"
What if
This
what
is
if-
not.
I-
This is
wait.
not what happened.
I've got a great one. Instead of Nick's pick, like a choice, it's Nick's picks, like pictures.
PIC.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah.
PIX, like
We floated
Netflix.
that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, with the X is interesting. Yeah.
It makes it a little
pixels.
stylish, a little kooky. You're not spelling it right.
Again, it's an audio
Yeah.
medium though, so we would have to explain it like we're doing right now. Just tough.
So yeah, I technically did not pick. But, well, I gave you a list
No,
of like, movies
but-
that I would love to talk about.
Thank you. And I said, oh, that would be great for Hooptober. Do you want to come on? And you said, yeah, of course, homie, or something like that. Blood.
Yeah.
So
Rip.
What is blood
Gang,
waffling
gang.
about?
I can't believe you just said that.
Cut that.
Yeah. All right, so we picked, well, this was a group choice, I guess, is what we're going to assign. We picked the Texas
No,
Chain Saw
Lane,
Massacre.
you're the one that picked it. Neither.
From 19... I would never want to have watched this for this podcast. I'm just going to come out and say
Not
that.
even during Halloween.
From 1974. Yes, even during the We Want a Whale
October? Wow.
series. Yeah. Sorry. It's just not one of my faves. But it is an important movie, so I'm glad that we had an impetus to watch it. Directed by Tobe Hooper, 1974. Gotta
You
get
had
that
an
out.
impetus?
Yes. Nick, give us your, 2-minute hot take from the top about this movie. Like, why this movie? Why is this movie one of your,
I don't really have any
5-star
hot takes.
all-time
And I will
favorites?
say, like, when you asked me to do it, I was like, sure, but I was also dreading it because I did see your infamous 1-star review where you were like this this fucking
was 1.5.
sucks. This
It
is
was
stupid
1.5.
and bad, and anyone who likes it should die. And I was like, oh, I want to go on this podcast and be told I need to die. But
I didn't say that. I said
exactly.
Nick specifically should die.
But I was when I saw your
For liking
3-star
this, yeah.
reappraisal, I was like, I can win this. I know I can come out on top if I've got a little bit of an edge. So I'm glad. I was excited.
This is not a competition.
Edge away.
No.
All right.
This is a race to number 1, and y'all are competing for number 2 in my opinion. I love this movie. Yeah, it's I've seen it many times. My history with it was my mom when I was young, I was like probably 13. She was really getting me into horror movies, and I hated them. I hated horror movies. I was a scaredy cat. But she loved horror movies, and she was like, well, if I make him watch enough, he'll eventually grow to appreciate them. And
Classic parenting.
Yeah.
And my mom had a friend at work who was like, has he seen, I was 13. This is so crazy. But her friend was like, has he seen Texas Chain Saw Massacre? And my mom was like, no, and I haven't either. And my mom's friend let her borrow the DVD. And it was like this yellow, like steel case. And it has like Leatherface, like doing the dance on the cover. And he's like all bloodied up. And my mom, of all people, was too scared to watch it. So we held on to the DVD for like 4 years. And I was just like, maybe every other 6 months, I'd be like, not every other 6 months, that's a year. Every 6 months, I would be like, Mom, do you want to try watching this? And she'd be like, I don't know, I'm scared. And so 4 years went by, and I built it up in my head as like, this is like the holy grail of horror. Like, I want to watch this at some point. And then I did watch it, and I was like, that was not that scary. I was also like 16, and I was becoming one of those like, people, if that makes sense.
You were 16.
To the listeners,
yeah.
I scrunched my face up in a pithy, mean-spirited way.
Thank you for self-narrating.
That was
I'm learning the ropes.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, you're with it.
And then I can't remember when I watched it again. I might have been college, but that's when I started to appreciate it a little more. And then I saw it again in college, and they showed it on a 70 millimeter print that was like 50 years old. And the movie was like beaten up. It was scratched. It was like there was a red tint on it. And that's when I was like, this is maybe the best thing that a human being has ever made next to temperature controlled water bottles. And I've seen it maybe 3 times since, including today. And just, I mean, we can get into details, but 2-minute summary. I mean, everything about it. I just love it.
Hell
nice. Yeah. Ricky, what's your hot take now? Now that you've seen it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like as big as it is. I don't know. It was okay, I guess.
Nick
has his face
hands.
fully in.
Yeah.
I could
The
see it
most
coming
anyone
from a
has
mile
ever.
away. I saw it coming from a mile away.
I can
I mean,
understand.
Yeah, Nick, like you said, like I mean, I'm not 16 and but also like not extremely scary. I was just like yeah, okay. I don't know. It wasn't like too crazy, I guess. And like I think a lot of that is because it's from like the 70s or whatever. It's like 50 years old.
Literally,
so it's
exactly 50.
Wow. I watched the 50th anniversary edition, so I wasn't sure like when that came out versus like when the movie came out. But
sure.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, okay. It's kind of I get that it's horror, it's gory, but
You get that it's horror. This is a pretty scary movie, like at least if not in execution, in like whatever, like in the abstract, you know, like the content is scary.
Yeah, it definitely makes me like never want to go to fucking Texas, right? Like
which you were fiending to go before you watched it.
I was like, ooh, can't wait to get a piece of them Dallas Cowboys, you know? Check out the stadium. Damn.
Whoa, wow! You can't
all right,
dopping my employer on Mike. He didn't say
Right.
Cowboys.
If you didn't say it was yours on bike, then it wouldn't have mattered, right?
All of our 15 listeners are going to Google.
Self-report.
Yeah. That's what the bleeps are for.
Guys, Google Ricky thanks. If one of us doxes, we all dox, all right? Anyway.
Yeah.
Lane, what's your 2-minute hot take?
So I had seen this movie when I was younger, like probably around Nick's age, and I don't know, my meh phase was a little older than that, but I just remember kind of having the same take that you did, Ricky, of like, I don't know, it's not that scary. It was kind of a letdown. It built up in my head, it's known as this whatever huge kind of thing, and so I didn't really like it then. I thought it was kind of boring at the time, and then I rewatched it for the first time a couple of years ago, like Nick is saying. And it just, like, the misogyny of it, or like, I don't want to say misogyny, but just like the casual kind of like, violence against the female characters specifically feels just, doesn't really play into the greater commentary of this movie very well, and it really put me off. But on this time around, I kind of enjoyed it more. It feels weird to describe this as a movie you enjoy in a way, but I appreciated the filmmaking and kind of the more, I guess, technical aspects this time around. I appreciated it much more than I watched it or liked it. So I can kind of begrudgingly admit that this is an important and even good movie, but just not one that I really care for, I guess.
Even good.
Fair.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the greater commentary of this movie. Is that simply people in Texas are crazy, don't go to Texas, or...
I wish. I feel like if I say that on mic... But no, I mean, I think that there's a few things. I think the context socially and politically of, like, hits blunt Vietnam, man, and, like, the opening kind of scene of the radio just going through every negative news story, like, and inflation is up, and people are getting murdered, and there's environmental waste, like dumping in the rivers and shit like that. Like, I think that's very pointedly being like, society's falling apart, and if you thought that returning to the conventional, like, traditional family is the way to go, guess again, because they're fucked up too. Like, I feel like there's that kind of happening here, and some of that is funny and even clever. But again, like, then there's this glaring thing of, like, well, we're seeing basically, like, upskirt shots. I mean, not upskirts, but, just the and you see that a lot in the time of, like, exploitation movies and things like that, of, like, the women aren't afforded the same kind of, thought politically, or, like, in that kind of political way. But it's, this time around it didn't take me out of the movie as much. So, a cat tail.
There's a cat.
There was a whole cat on screen, yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned the radio thing. When she's in the gas station and the radio's going off, that's kind of funny. Like, when the guy's, like, pulling the car up, and, like, you hear, like, the same radio from the beginning on, it's like, oh, all right, like, haha, I got it. But yeah, the number of ass shots going on early in the movie, it's and tough. Then, like, in the middle parts, yeah.
There's like two. There's two main ones. Like two.
Yeah, there is only, like, two. But
too many.
It was... Too many.
I'll concede
how you called that out immediately. Anyway,
I'll concede that the one at the gas station early on, where I think she's at, like, a Coke machine, and it's just plain. I'm like, this is silly,
just so unnecessary.
But
the one of her walking up to the house,
that's a really cool shot.
That one,
it's a cool shot, but it is also like,
I mean, it's such a striking
it could be
image,
cool,
and also, like, I'll also say
it looks like she's topless.
She does. It does look like she's topless. But here's what I'll say as well. I rarely do this, but I was just like, fuck it. I've seen this movie like 8 times. I'll go ahead and give it a shot. I watched this with commentary on, which I don't do that ever. I find it really hard to watch the movie and listen at the same time. Can you get the fuck out of here, dude? Sorry.
No, he wants to introduce
himself.
He was
just crawling all over the desk. And
let him say hey.
It was Tobe Hooper, Daniel Pearl, who was the cinematographer, and Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface. And when it got to that shot, they were talking about, they were like, I almost said ejaculating over the shot, which was, I mean, considering what we're talking about, such an awful choice of words. But they were appreciating the shot, and they were talking about how like the emphasis on her bare back is to like make the meat hook thing like feel
vulnerable.
much more visceral and
Yeah.
disgusting. Which I was like, that's kind of cool. It's like you don't really think about that stuff. Also, like when I watch movies, and maybe this is a self-report, I am not like thinking in like, you know, what is this saying about the broader spectrum.
Oh, really?
Sometimes, but mostly I'm just like, I just want to like enjoy the experience of watching this. And
That's fair.
Same.
I also, not to discredit that stuff, I like reading about it and like reading people's takes and stuff. And Tobe Hooper has said a couple times that he was like, this was inspired by this, and Texas Chain Saw was inspired by Vietnam. And I've seen a good handful of Tobe Hooper movies, and I'm like, I don't know if this guy works that way as a filmmaker. I mean, he could definitely be kind of reclaiming that with the success of the movie and being like, yeah, I totally made it about the perversion of the nuclear family. Like, and not to discredit a dead man, but when you watch his movies, it's like, oh, there's naked vampires and a guy with a weird mask killing. It's like, it feels very literal. And
Yeah.
I think society, to use the S word, dude, they're just fucking they're fucking my
Joker
whole
too?
room up. Stop. When movies like, especially back in like previous decades, movies that are super iconic and they succeed in ways that were unprecedented at the time, culture at large tends to mythologize a little bit, and like not for good reason, or not without good reason. But I do think that, you know, this was just like an independent horror movie made on a, you know, relatively shoestring budget. It's still money that I will never see in my life, but still relatively cheap. And I think they were just trying to make like a scary movie. I'm sure outside factors played in, but like when Tobe Hooper is like, you know, this is a Vietnam movie. I'm like, no, it's not, Tobe Hooper. Like, you're just saying that. Like, you can read into that, but when he says it was purposeful, I am a little skeptical, especially when I look at like the other movies of his that I've seen that are very, I mean, I love a lot of his movies, but a lot of them are very trashy, you know, or lowbrow is maybe a better term.
It's kind of hard to extricate it from its time period, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like even if they didn't mean it like in an auteur, like, you know, I laid out the whole message of this movie, like the context of it. I feel like it's always there, whether the filmmaker probably means it or not. I feel like there's always, you know, if I were to write a movie right now, you know, I'm sure that like the shit I was going through and like in the world would come out, even if it was just a tongue-in-cheek way of setting the scene of like everything sucks right now and I'm gonna put all that shit on the
my
radio
main character
in the background.
Donald Drump.
Yeah,
I do think there's a strong case to be made, like that in the text of the movie it is like pro-vegetarian. I think there are very obvious connections to be made, especially with like the setup, and payoff feels like a gross term to describe what I'm about to describe, but when they talk about how they used to kill cattle with the sledgehammers, and then it happens to Kirk, I believe is his name. I always forget the cast's name.
Kirk?
But the guy gets hit by the hammer by leather. The first guy to die.
Yeah, Kirk.
And earlier in the movie, Franklin's like, sometimes the first hit doesn't even kill him, and they squeal around, and you got to hit him a couple more times. And then it has that like dramatic montage of all the cows like drooling. It's like, this makes me feel bad, Toby.
Yeah.
Good job.
I mean, I think it's definitely supposed to, right? And then like even when they're talking about the grandfather, like, he once got done 60 in 5 minutes. They could have done more if the cattle hands or whatever had moved them out the way. And it's like, all right, what the fuck, man? Like, come on.
Which is so funny. Sorry, it's not.
It's kind of funny. No, it is.
Funny.
Like,
this movie's
it's
funny.
funny, right? Especially as it got to like that part where it's like so overblown and over the top. I kind of want to compare it to like some of the scenes in Karen Silkwood, which were like very impactful and very like, I don't know, these didn't have the same impact for me, at least. But like those were like horrifying and like, oh my god, like what are they doing to this poor woman? And then this was like almost like a caricature of that, right? Where they were like, oh, like how they kept cutting back to her screaming, and then like the guys at the dinner table like and they're like over the top laughing and stuff. I was like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
I'm hearing that Publishers Clearinghouse is sending a prize to your house right now for being the first person to ever compare those two movies in the world ever.
Wait, actually,
I haven't even
Silkwood
heard
and
of this.
Texas
You were talking about this last night when we were playing
yeah.
Fall Guys. I don't. What is this movie called?
Silkwood. It's a Mike Nichols movie.
Silkwood. I don't
It's,
think I have.
Meryl
Maybe I've seen the
Streep,
poster.
Cher, Kurt Russell. It's about her. She play. Meryl Streep plays a worker at a nuclear plant.
Kurt Russell?
Yeah, Kurt Russell's in it. I
He's hot in
brought
it.
it up because we were talking about Kurt Russell movies.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Good movie.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
He also
Yeah.
has a scene where he punches. Well, spoilers for Silkwood, where he punches like this
A guy.
one dickhead guy who's
Douchebag.
like the entire time. It's like, man, this guy needs to get his fucking shit rocked, right? Like the whole time you're thinking it, and he does. It's excellent. It's such a good payoff. I actually rewind it just to watch it a second time. So good.
Does the person who gets his shit rocked, is that Kurt Russell?
No, Kurt Russell's the shit rocker.
That's a different
He's
guy?
the puncher. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, have you guys seen Death Proof?
No.
Oh yeah, that's a great fucking movie.
I was gonna say at the end there's a great shit rocking scene, and it happens to Kurt Russell. And I thought it'd be
We'll watch that someday.
it's like
Ricky.
poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Not to spoil Death Proof.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had the rocking shit spoiled. It's done.
That movie changed
yeah.
Robert Frost forever. Like,
The author?
yeah, the poet. Yeah.
Poet?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it someday.
Okay.
But no, I'm glad you brought up the vegetarian thing because that wasn't something I had known that that Tobe Hooper was a vegetarian. I didn't know that the last time I watched it. And then and I learned that whatever in the last couple of years, and I was like, oh, interesting. And so I went in watching it this time being like, all right, maybe there's like more to this than I thought. And yes, that part of like in the beginning and like obviously the comparisons of like humans are meat, we're slaughtering humans, we slaughter, domesticated animals. But like, I don't know, something about the like humans are meat thing didn't really work here for me. Like there are definitely movies where that bothers me. Like the thought of like, yeah, you could just be lights out and, just like explode into nothingness. You're just a bunch of meat. Like, I feel like that is well executed in other movies, but of all movies, this one doesn't do it very, I don't know if it's because it doesn't feel visceral enough or if it's maybe that the decor in the home is kind of haunted housey and that takes away from that. And it's not bad. I mean, it's a cool looking house. But it's not as scary and like visceral in the same way, I guess.
Was Tobe Hooper a vegetarian all his life? I read that he was a vegetarian when he made this, but then he may have stopped afterwards.
Maybe.
I don't think the
He just
function
wasn't that
of the
committed.
movie is like we're trying to do a pro animal thing, but I do get glimpses of it.
Yeah. Well, and
For
even
me,
if,
it's just like
Oh, I was just gonna say, even if it's not supposed to be like a you should be vegetarian, kind of thing. Even just if it's a cute comparison, to be like, what if humans were executed the same way? Like, it's still a fun thing to do, to put in. So,
which we all should be. We all should be vegetarians,
okay.
but we don't.
we should
not-
all be
I thought
No, 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 no.
that should be like executed. I was like, what the fuck? Where's this one gonna go? Like, that'd be a crazy thing. I mean,
Well, this is also a common talking point with this movie, like, because the rest of the franchise is so over the top and so slashery.
Oh, really?
And just, like, took the blueprint of this movie and ran in, like, well, I can defend the franchise a little bit, but they do kind of run with, like, just the slasher blueprint of, like, tits and blood, and this is it's kind of a weird balance of like people will be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you think of it as a bloody gore fest, but it's not bloody at all. And then there's like the other side of that where in the commentary Tobe Hooper was like, we tried to make a bloodless movie. And it's like, there's blood in this movie, Toby.
Yeah.
Why am I like why do I hate Tobe Hooper all of a sudden?
do you? His ghost haunts my letterbox comments. Have we talked about this?
What?
Wait,
No.
Ricky, have we not talked about this? I reviewed Poltergeist a few years ago, and for Hooktober, I think, or maybe it was just last year. And someone because I reviewed it kind of crap. I gave it like a 2.5 star.
Poltergeist is a bad movie.
Some pithy bullshit. I don't like. Yeah, it wasn't good. And I said something like, "Oh, Steven Spielberg ghost directed this or whatever." And someone came into my comments on that review and was like, linked a bunch of shit, like a bunch of evidence about how actually Tobe Hooper did direct it and whatever, and how it's a good movie. And I went to this person's profile to block them, and it's like a profile that is dedicated to commenting on people who record low reviews for Poltergeist and like challenging them and shit. I swear to, it's called like Poltergeist Thoughts or something. I'm totally calling this person out. Watchers, get on him. But like, yeah, you can see it's like
Poltergeist. That's the Poltergeist.
The funniest part of it is the only movie that they've ever reviewed on there, of course, is Poltergeist, and they've only given it like 4.5 stars. It's not even like their 5-star.
Not a
That's
perfect
kind of a good
movie.
bit.
Not quite perfect.
It's so funny.
To
They're
go
still
on a
doing it,
tangent
too.
real quick about
I can admit it has flaws,
Poltergeist.
okay?
Yeah.
I do think he directed that movie, and again, this is just continuing the hate train. But like, I don't think Spielberg is capable of making a movie that's that boring.
I think Spielberg had heavy notes. I don't think he
like
actually
the
literally
making
directed
of it.
but
it doesn't feel like Spielberg to me. It feels like Tobe Hooper
Yeah.
made a dud. You know, like, and I've seen a good.
maybe.
I'm just so compelled for no reason to just be like, fuck Tobe. I like Tobe Hooper. I care about his contributions to cinema. Why am I being so mean?
Do you? Because I don't know. Yeah, on
Who is
Hooptober of all
credited
things.
for
Tobe Hooper.
Poltergeist, by the way, as the person who has not seen it. Oh, okay.
I don't even know what
It
the
is Tobe Hooper,
evidence contributing to this conspiracy
How does
is.
Spielberg get like?
Well,
Spielberg
he's a
produced it.
producer. Yeah, and did he write it
Oh,
or
okay.
wrote the story? Let me look it up.
I don't
Hang
think
on.
Spielberg writes.
Yeah, it was written by Steven Spielberg
I
from
don't
a
think he
story
can
by
read.
Spielberg. Well, that's true.
Wow. Maybe that's the problem with it then.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know, but there's just like I know I don't even have like an incredible view for these sorts of things, but I remember watching it and thinking it seems very like a lot of the shots and like music cues and things like that seem very Spielbergian. So that was and I mean even in the Wikipedia page I'm looking, it says like it's clear that he was frequently on set during filming and exerted significant creative control. So
Interesting.
even if he didn't officially direct, yeah. Anyway,
What also is, I think that's Tobe Hooper's like biggest chance at like a commercial film. That and probably
Totally.
Texas Chainsaw 2.
yeah.
Those were probably him getting to play around in a money sandbox. So who knows? But if gun to my head, I'd be like, Tobe Hooper mostly directed this.
Sure. Yeah.
Cattle killing air gun to my head.
You're gonna have to hit me a couple more times with the sledgehammer because I'm gonna lash around on the ground.
What did they say for that too? They're like, oh, it's licks. They're like, you need a couple more licks.
Couple
right?
more licks. What do you guys think
Yeah.
of Franklin?
Tough. Real tough to make that your
tough.
second character. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. Not a fan of the way he died.
Why?
Like,
Tell me more. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's not like, oh, like I saw it coming, but like they're walking through the dark and she's like pushing him in the wheelchair, and then like you hear the chainsaw. It's like, all right, wow. It's
Yeah.
like I just didn't want to see the guy like taking the chainsaw and just going in and
I
out
thought
like that.
you were.
I was like, all right.
I
Like,
thought you
past
meant
a
you
certain
had
point, I'm done with this.
a moral quandary with him getting murdered by a chainsaw wielding maniac. I thought
mean-
you meant like I didn't like that. That was upsetting. Not like
No, I don't think you can really bring morals into this.
I was
movie,
gonna say!
like, but like, I don't know. It's just I was like, yeah, all right, like,
But him as a
I
character,
guess.
like his attitude and the way he like interacts with the other group,
I don't
it's
think I can
so-
take much more of this. I was like, all right. He says it like 5 times, and it's
He's
about
very
everything. I was like,
childish. Yeah.
He is.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't hate it necessarily. He's a tough hang. But, you know, he's an interesting character. He's definitely the character that pops the most. I mean, you know,
He is.
He's
Sally,
the only one with a
right?
personality, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Sally gets the most screen time, obviously, but she's just screaming, you know. And she
when
does
the
a great
group
job
is
at
together, when the group's
Yeah.
together, Sally is like I mean, she's like off in the
Nothing.
corner the whole time.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she becomes like the protagonist in the last like 30
It's
minutes.
very Alien, the movie Alien.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, that's actually
reminiscent of that in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also just the fact that, like, when it was just the two of them alone, and he was like, "You didn't want me here, did you? I'm gonna honk the horn again." And she's like, "Stop honking the fucking horn." And he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have come down here. I'm gonna honk the horn again." It's like, please, man.
It feels
What
like
is this?
a lame attempt to try and put like some conflict between the characters in a way, like especially when he's in the house and he's like, you know, he's like mocking them, laughing and stuff. He's like, if I had any more fun, I would die, or whatever the fuck he says. And it
And then
just
he starts
feels
blowing raspberries at him. It's like, dude, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Was this bad in the 70s? Was this like...
I fucking
this
love the
pushing the
raspberries.
envelope?
I love the raspberries.
Really?
It's so silly. I love just like from the moment he's introduced, like his like physicality is so exacerbated. Like when he goes out to
That's
pee
true.
in the jar and they give him the jar and he's like, for the listeners, I just did a Franklin impression that was 100% spot on.
Yeah, it looked just like. Also, they're called
98,
watchers.
98.
They're called watchers on this show.
Yeah, not listeners. They're watchers.
There's no
Even though
listeners.
there's nothing for them
The
to watch.
watchers. See, this is
Right.
how you know I'm
Yeah.
a guest.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I
I agree
make that
with
mistake
you.
all the time, and Lane constantly corrects me.
I agree with you. He's more fun to watch than the characters that have nothing going on, and it is very like exploitation movie in that way. It's where like, we're going broad, we're doing bits, like we're acting to the rafters, but it is silly.
Also,
Yeah,
he was the only one to react when like the one dude gets in the car and starts like cutting himself and like cutting him, and like everyone else is just like, oh no, like. And he's actually like, yo, what the fuck? Like, get this guy out of here. And like, like afterwards, the other dude's like, I have half a mind to call a police officer right now. And it's like, you have half of a mind to do that? Hello, bro? What the fuck?
It's so funny. That scene, like,
it's the 70s.
over the years of me watching this movie, the scene of the hitchhiker coming into the van has like completely morphed from like weird, uneasy, eerie to like this is like slapstick almost. Like when he
It's
cuts
pretty
himself
funny.
It is pretty slapstick.
with
yeah,
the knife,
yeah.
and then he hands it back to Franklin, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck is this?" And then he's like, "I've also got this knife." It's just like, what the fuck?
Like, what?
It's so weird.
It is funny. Yeah, that actor that plays like that brother or whatever, the hitchhiker, he is also playing to the rafters. Like he's having fun. He's making a meal of it.
How do you not kick him out after he cuts his hand out? Like I don't let the guy pull out a second knife. I'm like, buddy, you gotta get the fuck out of here, man.
He
Like,
gives me back the knife. I'm like, we should maybe get rid of this guy. He pulls out the second knife. I'm like, let's hear him out.
that drew you right back in.
Edwin Neal is the name of the hitchhiker. I always want to call him Ed O'Neill, and that's the guy from
Yeah,
Married with Children.
yeah.
But he's still very active with like the Texas Chainsaw community of fans.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Is he like commenting on their letterbox, just like constantly defending the movie?
But between the last time I watched it and now, I've gotten really into the game, the Texas Chainsaw game. I play it with my homies,
Yeah.
and he still voices that character.
Oh shit!
Good for him.
So you can play as the hitchhiker, and he does voice
Oh, I
lines for it.
see.
I don't know if he does motion capture, but he does, and he also does cameo and shit like that. So he's still very much like a celebrated, like, the original
Cameo.
family.
Yeah.
So speaking of games, in Dead by Daylight, I don't know whether it's Leatherface or someone else, but they have like the meat hooks things, and like you get hung up on them. So I had seen that before, and it was just like not as shocking as like if I'd gone into it without like having seen that before, especially in like a very sort of casual setting where it's just like, oh, you're on the meat hook, hold down X for 10 seconds. That would have been like a much more shocking scene, much more impactful.
You can also do it in
Like,
the
as it
game.
was,
It's like
I
a
was like,
special kill where, like, if you attack a victim and they fall but they don't die, you can grab them and take them to a hook.
Yeah.
It also
They
is
can
just
get
like
off the
there's
hook.
something to think of, like, you know, this set the blueprint, and now it's like, 50 years later, you
Yeah.
can play the game and recreate the meat hook kill. And it's like, we've
Yeah.
fallen a little bit, haven't we? But I love the meat hook kill. I do it every chance I get.
Has the West fallen?
Stop.
Has the South
Has Texas fallen? Yeah.
Has the Texaco refinery exploded on the border of the Texas?
That's
That also was something that took me
Louisiana?
out of the movie, was like watching it now. I'm like, oh, that's the generator from the game that you have to turn on
Yeah.
to activate the thing. And like the recreations of the locations is like pretty astounding. The way they're gamified, pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a pretty location, you know, like the fields and, you know, like the movie, it has this golden hour thing going on at several times. Obviously the ending, but even before that, before all shit goes down, it is a pretty beautiful looking movie, which is shocking for how cheap it was. Like, and how it sounds so crazy and manic the way that they did it, where it's just like, we have 30 hours and that's it, like of daylight or whatever, so we're gonna just like run through it and do it all in one take. Like the production of the movie,
That's how they made
insane.
it?
Not like that, it's not literally that short, but they were all pretty.
Yeah.
I think
They
crazy
shot
by
it
the
in
end
like
of it.
4 weeks.
Yeah, so
Oh.
But I think what you're referring to is they
The
shot
makeup.
the dinner scene.
yeah, right.
Yeah, they talked about this on the commentary. The makeup for Grandpa was like an 8-hour process, and they were like, "We have this guy for a couple days, so we'll shoot. We'll piece it all together." But he put the makeup
Yeah.
on, and he was like, "You are not gonna make me do this again. We're shooting all my scenes, and then I'm quitting." And so they
You can
shot the
see it.
entirety of the dinner scene for 30 hours straight.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Okay.
And you could feel that emanating off the screen, that they were all like awake
Yeah.
that long and like at wit's end and like really screaming probably.
And apparently they
Yeah,
shot it
yeah.
they shot it during daylight, but they blacked out all the windows and everything, so like the heat was just like simmering in the house.
Stifling.
And
Yeah.
this is like, I don't want to call this a fun fact, but like I heard this on the commentary and I was like, why is this man admitting that he did this? Gunnar
I think I know
Hansen,
it. Yeah.
do you know about this?
Yes.
So they were shooting-
when
they
the
were-
old man sucks the thumb. Yeah.
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 Go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
So they had a blood gag where like they had a tube that was like hidden behind Leatherface's arm, and he would press it and the blood would come out looking like he cut her finger. And like the tube kept getting clogged, and they kept shooting the scene over and over again. And finally, this was like hour 18 or something. After like it kept clogging, Gunnar Hansen was like, "I'm just gonna cut her finger," but he didn't tell anyone, and he cut her thumb with the knife. And then the actor who plays Grandpa like drinks her blood.
Oh, wow.
It's psychotic.
It's
And
actually
in the
crazy.
commentary, he's not
This
like,
whole
"I've
movie
held on
is-
to this regret for 40 plus years. I need to come clean." He's like, "By the way, I got so pissed off that I cut her thumb." And it's like, Gunnar, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is like you could be litigated for this.
I mean, by hour 18 of being awake, right? It's like you're shooting that scene for 8 hours. I think the thumb's getting cut, right?
That,
Like, I
that
don't
was
know.
kind of his reasoning was like, I was genuinely insane. And I'm like, okay, fucking relax, dude. No, you were not. The worst part is not even that. The worst part is like they talked, the guy who played Grandpa talked about it after the fact, and he was like, I wouldn't have minded. It's kind of erotic. And it's like, dude, what were they doing in the 70s? I mean, I know what they were doing in the 70s, but like, what? This is
Yeah.
crazy.
What's really
It doesn't like enhance the scene or anything. It's like
No.
genuinely psychotic.
it feels like you can feel it in the movie and not in a good way, where it's like, oh, they had this like vibrant creative energy coming together, you know, synergizing. It's just very much like, oh, I should not be looking at this.
Yeah, I'm peering into the depths of hell,
And
and they're
that's
peering
why I
back at
find the
me.
movie so
Like,
scary. No, I
But,
mean,
okay.
yes, but no.
It does hit like just okay. This is just fucking unhinged. Like it hit a point where it's like, all right, like, and especially the dinner scene was like, all right, like what the fuck
Yeah.
is going on here, guys?
He keeps.
What's really funny about all that is that the makeup on the grandpa looks like dog shit. Like it looks so
It's
fucking bad.
it look. I mean,
Like,
it
all
looks fake,
that.
but it's a good look. It's a cool little. Also, he's a
It's a
central.
cool look,
he's
but
a
it's
central element of the gameplay as well. And I want to keep talking about the game. You
of
have to
course.
feed
Oh,
him
God.
blood that you find in buckets throughout the map, and when you feed him enough, he roars, and you can see the victims on the map, so you can chase them down. It doesn't make. There's no like.
Cool.
Canonized reason for this. It's just like, how do we make Grandpa a fucking part of this game? Feed him blood.
Let's give him his classic grandpa roar. You know,
Yeah.
just like people know and love from the movies.
Hey.
Hey.
Sorry.
Hey.
Fucking digging under the door.
You guys.
We're familiar. This happens.
He's like, I thought you
often.
stopped doing
Yeah.
this months
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
Cut that out.
Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah. Between Ricky having to like go feed them and me having to throw like pens at my window to get squirrels off my bird feeder, there's animals all over
Or
this
birds
podcast.
flying into the window, which I still take
That's
as a
true, they've
weird
done that
sign.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking
yeah.
of birds, I just want to mention major psycho vibes going on in the house. Not major, but like there were a few times where like just with like the bird feathers on the ground and the chicken in the cage, which had like a prolonged scene where it was like 30 seconds of them just looking at
Yeah.
the chicken in the cage. I was like, oh, like kind of psycho-esque, I guess. And then immediately afterwards, it just went like back to this guy is just a fucking chainsaw killer. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This does kind of take the psycho like familial thing and pushes it like 10,000 times further of like, what is this family dynamic? Watching it this time, I've never thought about this, but like it almost feels performative of like, is this really like psychologically what this
Oh,
family is
totally.
like? Or is this some kind of act that they put on to like maintain some type of illusion? Like, especially when
the hiker guy with the dad, and he's like,
Yeah.
he's like, he's just the cook.
Yeah.
He's just the cook. I'm like, bro, is this guy just the cook or what? Like, what's happening here, man?
fun fact, they're all brothers. The cook is not their dad, which is a
Yeah.
common
Really?
misconception. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's a case of like Jim Cito, the actor, looks older than he is.
Yeah.
Where like he just looks like that at 35. You know.
Okay.
So people commonly are like grandpa, dad,
is-
and then the two brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because then where are the parents?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they victims? Are they, yeah.
And that's
family
that's
unit is
like
falling
where
apart.
the horror comes from for me, is just like there's so many weird details about this family dynamic and just like the setting where like you never get a moment to feel like I know what's going on. I know why this is happening or
Yeah.
where like even the cook mentioning, and he also says this in the game, which is funny, but like him being like, I can just take no pleasure in killing. It's like, what do you mean you can't take pleasure in killing?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's just
yeah.
like a tossed off line, and
Just
you're
gotta
thinking
do
about
what you
that.
gotta do. You know?
And then you comes in the
yeah.
grandpa with like, he killed 60 in 5 minutes. It would have been more.
like, bro, what? And he like revels in it too. Like, it's obvious that he like enjoys it.
At
right?
the end.
You know,
I mean,
Yeah,
even
well,
when he
yeah,
was
when they all-
kidnapping the
when they're,
girl,
like-
like he was having a good time with it, right?
It's true.
Like he enjoys
Yeah.
it, and then he's like, I take no pleasure in this. All right, you know, I don't do any of the killing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
on the
all right,
commentary
Yeah.
track, they kept calling it, he was skitzing. They kept saying, Jim Cito is skitzing out. I was like, guys, I don't know if this is the terminology you want to document forever.
No, we should
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody should have cut that off the thing. We need like an editor
Yeah.
like laying on there. Come on.
Well, there's also I'm self-reporting on this movie that I'm trying to defend and love, but like there's another
gonna
part of the
say,
commentary
you're not
where
doing
Gunnar
great.
Hansen was like, when I was trying to form the character, I went and I studied R slurs. And it's like, Gunnar, dude, what the fuck, man?
Do you know when was the commentary recorded? Was it recorded contemporaneously?
It
or
was,
was it
I think
recent?
it was maybe 40th anniversary. I have like a limited
so
edition
10 years
steelbook.
ago.
So 10 years ago, which like,
Yeah.
but even then, it's like a little like,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone wasn't as
That's
like
tough.
culturally, we weren't as sensitive as we are now for sure. But like even then, it's like, what are you talking? Why are you saying
Yeah.
People weren't saying
yeah.
that word. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, I guess Tobe
the,
Hooper could have been a bit senile, so we'll give him that. We'll give him the pass, right?
Yeah, anytime Gunnar Hansen said
Well,
something
he-
psychotic,
yeah.
Toby would be like, yeah, man. Anyways, so also to go back to I think Lane, you said this about like you can feel like how like they all hated each other in that dinner scene. They talk
Yeah.
so much shit in this commentary track, especially of the actor who plays Franklin. He might as well have just been like a real guy named
Oh,
Franklin
sure.
in a wheelchair who's an asshole. Like every time he like gets stuck on something in his wheelchair, they're like, I love to see him suffer. Like it's so
Please.
strange.
Hello.
Wow. Yeah. That's the idea of having a character in a wheelchair, like in a slasher movie. I don't know that I've seen something like a disabled character before like that. And it's an interesting way of kind of playing with some of those, like, how isolated that person might feel in this situation and all that. I feel like it could be more interesting than it is in this, in which case it just feels like dunks, like they're just dunking on him in this movie a little bit, by making him like the asshole kid who like everybody shits on, and but it's an interesting
The movie is
choice,
clearly
I guess,
not
especially in the
concerned with
70s.
like breaking that down, but there is a little bit of like what is this guy's life like
Yeah.
you see
like
it's
outside
not
of the movie.
it's not even like the group is mean to him, but they are generally dismissive, and so you can kind of see like where the bitter feelings come from, but it's also like, dude, you are not helping by being such a fucking, like, I just watched, this is maybe a ghoulish comparison, but I did just watch Elephant Man for the first time. And like the difference between like Franklin, the guy in the wheelchair, being an asshole to everyone, and the Elephant Man being like, I am so nice to everyone, and you are so beautiful, and everyone is mean to me. I'm like, that's a beautiful human being. He should be in this movie instead. No, I'm just kidding. He should not be cut up by Leatherface.
No, yeah.
I was gonna
Also,
say.
the Elephant Man's a real guy.
Yeah. Ricky's like,
Yeah, I don't
yes,
know
another
Elephant Man,
movie.
but Franklin was being a fucking asshole. And then when he's talking about like the cows and stuff, and they're like, "Can we just like change the subject?" And he's like, "Yeah, now they use air guns instead of hammers." And it's like, that's not a change in subject.
And they have
bro.
head cheese.
Yeah,
He brings up head cheese
Which is
too.
so
Of all things.
disgusting. Do you know what head cheese is?
Yeah.
It's like jellified.
Well, they explain it in the
It's
movie.
like jellified
that
cow
stuff, yeah.
innards. It's
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
like
they use
the
all
head.
of it.
it's
Yeah,
disgusting.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
disgusting.
boil the head
Also, that was the
and put
OG
it in
title of the
aspic.
movie
Yeah.
before it changed to Leatherface. Before then, it changed to
cheese.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Imagine if this movie was called Head Cheese. Would we be talking about it?
No, it would have
Would
been
there
lost
be a
to time,
franchise
for sure.
called Head Cheese
Texas-
2, Head Cheese 3?
Well, maybe. I could definitely see that still.
Yeah.
I think Leatherface is a better title for the movie, or like
I
a
kinda
better
Leatherface,
title.
yeah.
I don't know.
That would be cool.
This is a
I
great
feel like
title.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so
But-
iconic.
It is
It
now.
is. I feel like.
But like,
Yeah,
I also feel like you wouldn't
I don't
change
know.
Nightmare on Elm Street to Freddy.
wow.
Well, yeah, because
Or like
Freddy.
Friday the 13th to Jason.
Yeah, but
Sure,
Leatherface.
but
is
those are
like,
normal ass names.
yeah.
But the Texas, well, also, and not to mention the fact that the marketing was very like Blair Witchy, where they were like, "This is a real story. This
Right.
actually happened. We are putting." And also back then, when like you couldn't easily access like verifying information, you go into
Yeah.
the theater and it's like everything you're about to see is true. And back then, I would have been dumb enough to be like, "Yeah, this is
Yeah.
true. Everything I'm about to see is true."
I fucking hate Texas. I'm never going down there.
I'll believe it even if I am skeptical. Are they? Is this movie? Was it influenced by Ed Gein? Because Psycho was, right? So I feel that's an interesting comparison that you made before, Ricky. Where
According
Yeah.
to Tobe himself, he said that he didn't know that it was Ed Gein, but he wrote the script based on the killings that were happening in Wisconsin,
Okay.
and he found out after the fact that it was Ed Gein.
okay, interesting.
And the idea was to make a movie about a family of Ed Geins.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess some distinct parallels there
Interesting.
with Psycho, at least from what they're based on. Which is kind of cool.
Well, and both of those movies are very transgressive for the time, but now are not
Yeah.
as in the same way. We're about to watch our next final thing for We Want to Whale is another movie that might be like that. Although I think that movie holds up better than any of the three. So we'll see. We'll talk. But
What movie is? You can cut it out. Oh wait, you can't reveal it because the other person doesn't know.
we're gonna save
no,
it at the end.
no,
of the
we
pod either way.
pre-agreed on these the series. So
Well, now I'm gonna be thinking about it the whole time.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna end with.
Oh fuck yeah! You hate that
Yeah.
movie, right?
No, I like that movie. It's good. It's
That
just
movie's a
you know,
masterpiece,
it's a good movie. Yeah.
right,
All right.
Casca?
Oh,
Oh, baby. Look at that tummy.
she's so chill.
What are you doing, huh? You don't like being held, do you? Get away! Get away!
I know, it's
I
like
love
where
The
I
Exorcist. I also like when I watch movies that are like this, old. For lack of I don't know why I was like I should pick a word different than old.
These
but-
aged movies.
and it feels obvious to say, but I also think like this is part of why I like this movie so much is that when I watch something from like the 70s or 60s, whatever, I always am like, how did an audience receive this at the time?
Oh yeah.
It's like
This
every
would have
time
made you shit your pants in the 70s.
yeah, it's
Like,
crazy.
yeah.
And like every time I go back and watch like I don't think the original Star Wars is my favorite of the series, but every time I go back and I turn on the original Star Wars, I'm like, this is nuts. Like this people walked into a theater and watched this and like had no idea what this was. And can you what is with you guys? I've lost my trail of thought, but
it's definitely like totally different. Like sitting down now and watching a movie that's come out, and like you've already heard like the hype about it, or you've heard like whatever online, versus like being able to watch a movie that, and especially it's so different in like the internet age, right? Because like even with like Megalopolis or whatever, Megalopis, I don't know how to pronounce it. Like you see so much about these like insane off the wall movies, and it's like if you had just gone to the theaters and been like, fuck it, like let's see what they've got going on. A new Francis Ford Coppola, I'll watch that. And it just like knocks your fucking sock. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like I've never seen something like this before. And it's kind of like an experience that's kind of been lost with time, to a certain degree, I guess, right?
Well, now because information is so immediately available, there's no room for surprises anymore.
Yeah.
And even like when something is surprising, I feel like it's not boundary pushing. And I don't mean like boundary like it's doing something new. I mean like the cultural sensitivity of something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Exorcist, which just like sent people into an uproar. I feel like that doesn't really happen anymore. Like the last time I can remember being surprised by a movie or being like, what is this? Is like Barbarian, you know, where like that was so like under wraps, and they did a good job of keeping it under wraps, and even like audiences were like largely respectful of like you need to go see this and know nothing, which just doesn't happen anymore with social media.
Yeah.
You say that like that movie didn't just come out 18 months ago. Like that's not exactly an old movie.
Time is like so stretched out to me now. It feels like everything that ever happened yesterday, and also I woke up this morning 10 years ago.
Yeah. I feel you. I do feel like there's some of the like word of mouth straight to streaming stuff I feel like has a little bit of that, just because it doesn't have the big marketing push of like, okay, here's 4 trailers and 10 interviews, and you see Timothée Chalamet doing press, whatever, So some of that stuff still has that charm. But yeah, I agree with you in large part, though.
I mean, so like some movies even try to like fit in, I don't know, like Easter eggs, I guess, like Gambit in Deadpool versus Wolverine. But like even that gets spoiled eventually, right? Like people are going to talk about it because they just can't stop help themselves, right?
Well, and now you've got the directors of the movies like reposting like theater reactions. Like Sean Levy was like posting the Gambit reactions on his Instagram. It's like, dude, like, don't you care about preserving this at all? Like, I know it's a Marvel movie and it's easy to dunk on, but like, don't you want people to go have a fresh experience, especially if you are knowingly putting surprises in your movie?
Yeah. Hey, dunk away. All right, we're not Marvel fans here.
I'm not a Marvel fan either. It's not like I made a 50-hour plus podcast hating on Marvel.
I didn't know that. See, I don't know the I don't know the history, man.
The Nick lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made a podcast. We could talk about this. I just no gags about like Chris hated it.
I'm leaving that in.
No,
that you just said that.
But
we're gonna cut out the no gags part. Just the Chris hated it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Chris hated it.
No, I watched all the Marvel movies and did a podcast with my friend Chris about it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out, Chris.
That sounds horrible. Actually, I'll say the early ones I kind of liked a lot. Like the first Iron Man, I really liked.
Oh, here we go. We're about to have a whole thing.
I can't think of the other first ones, but
I'm down for tangentials.
Yeah, right.
Well, the worst part about it is that we also did all the TV shows.
Oh God, man!
And like every TV show except for Hawkeye is bad, which is like weird that you wouldn't expect
Hawkeye's
that. Everyone was talking about WandaVision. WandaVision is stupid. Chris likes WandaVision. He's stupid too.
Anti shout out, Chris.
Anti-shout
Anti-shout
out. I
out.
haven't seen any of the TV shows or anything about them.
You don't need to.
And I haven't seen a lot of the later movies. But, like,
I've seen everything up until
The Christmas special.
Echo?
Oh, just kidding.
Echo, which just came out.
I haven't even heard
when we
anything about
finished
that.
the marathon, I was like, I'll probably just keep up at this point. Like,
Yeah,
I've already
yeah.
watched it all. And Echo came out, and I was like, I would rather die than watch this.
Jesus.
And you're valid.
Yeah.
No Way Home is the GOAT. Doctor Strange 2, Iron Man 3, Captain America 1, both of the Spider-Man movies, both of the other Spider-Man movies.
Wait, which
Avengers-
Spider-Man movies? There's so many Spider-Man movies.
The Tom Holland 3 are all good. Black Panther's good.
I like Black
Guardians
Panther.
2 is good.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
I'm just looking at my list now.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion is the worst thing they made.
Was that a TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
About
It's the
Nick
one with
Fury.
the AI intro, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, that's tough,
It
man.
was-
When you're a multi-billion-dollar, studio corporation, like, come on, pay an artist.
Back to Texas Chainsaw.
Yes, please. Thank God.
Was that a recent movie
Where-
by them or a TV show?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Marvel's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Timothy Chalamet plays the cook.
He does.
He would be a
definitely
good hitchhiker.
He would
does.
actually.
He actually
yeah.
would.
If
Yeah, he
you
could be
if you
fun.
didn't know Timothy Chalamet and it was his first role, you'd be like, this guy's the fucking hitchhiker.
I want to
Yeah.
see him in a more like disheveled role, right? Like I kind of liked him in Dune, where he was like pushing more of the like.
Bones and all.
I was gonna say Bones and All.
Oh, haven't seen that. Haven't seen it. Okay.
He's
That
like
was
pretty
almost on
boy
our list.
disheveled, but he's still a little disheveled.
Yeah, he's always
Yeah.
pretty boy. So like Dune was pretty boy disheveled, right? Like he's like from a prep school, but like he's having visions of the future. Okay, cool, fine.
It's from
but, like,
a
I want,
prep
I want more of that, you know. I really want to dig deep.
Do you guys like Timothy Chalamet? I feel like
His
people hate him.
Really?
really? No, people
I
like
feel like
him.
that's the impression I get, other than like myself and my mom.
It's the impression.
No, people
that I
like
get.
him.
Do, 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 do.
I would say
Maybe it's because I'm on
um,
Twitter still, but I see Timmy slander all the time on Twitter, especially with the Bob Dylan movie coming out, which does look bad.
Oh, it doesn't look bad. I don't. It. Yeah. It looks okay. It looks okay. I think it'll be more. The first trailer that they put out was better than this one that dropped today. But I'm gonna give it a chance.
I have no special reverence for Bob Dylan, but so I'll
either.
say this, knowing that like if a coven of Bob Dylan fans hear this, they'll probably dox me.
Hex you.
I was surprised at his Bob Dylan voice. I was like, okay, sure,
He did a good job. I think he does good. He is a good
yeah,
job
I
with
think it sounds like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, I feel like is a pretty easy guy to do an impression of.
That's true.
Ricky, take
you
it
have-
away
I don't have a Bob Dylan impression. Sorry.
for the watchers listening at home. I almost said Bob Dylan started shaking his head. Ricky started shaking his head.
My Bob Dylan impression is so good that I have become Bob Dylan.
Well, now that you've cut your hair, you do look more like Timmy, and so now you could do the next step in the transformation. And,
Take the
and
headphones
become
off. What does the
Dylan.
hair look like without the headphones?
Yeah. He needs a
I
perm.
feel like there's another actor that you look more like, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
He looks like DJ Qualls.
I didn't hear that, but fuck you.
Oh, wait, I think I know who that is. What's he in?
Oh, I mean, a bunch of shit, like, as 10th build, you know?
He's like not.
Trying to
This is
think.
not how I'm describing Ricky. I'm describing DJ Qual. He's like a mousy looking guy, right?
I'm a little
Yeah,
mousy, though. I'm on the mouse.
He's in, I want to say he's in, like, American Pie or one of those.
Isn't
like,
he in Breaking Bad, or am I thinking of someone else?
You know who's in Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Anyway.
0 days,
Um,
Lane. 0 days.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974?
Yeah, I feel like we could keep going for hours.
Well, then keep.
I
say
do
your
know
piece.
DJ Qualls. It's this guy.
Yeah, that guy.
For the watchers, I held up a picture of DJ Qualls.
I don't
Like a
that
young
comparison.
DJ Qualls. Like a younger guy. He looks bad in that picture because he's 45.
I don't think Ricky looks like DJ Qualls.
I think he's just like a
I don't want to
Also,
look
what
like
if-
him when I'm 45.
What a stupid name. Fuck that guy for
No,
having
he's
that
gay.
name.
We
Heard
love
this
we
guy's
love
name
DJ
before.
Qualls. We love.
He's
DJ
gay?
Qualls. Yeah, he came out.
Why doesn't he have a gay name?
Well, if only the glare
It's maybe
on my
slightly
phone
better.
would work.
Yeah, it's just like I see
Yeah.
the hair and then it's just all white for the face. Yeah.
Actually,
okay.
DJ Qualls is like a closeted name.
Well, not
he's
anymore,
no longer
right?
closeted.
Like,
Yeah, come on.
That's the thing is like now he should change his name.
To like a more out
What-
and flamboyant name.
Like
Gay
Ricky Rudy.
Qualls. Gay guy Qualls. That's his new name.
Wow. Okay. We have lost
I
the
just
plot.
wheezed in my microphone, but I don't think y'all heard it.
That's good. I'll hear it later when I'm listening to the
Awesome.
fucking edit.
Tunes.
Can't be a 60-minute episode. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. All right. Well, keep talking. What
Y'all
else?
have
what
no
else is
more
there to say?
thoughts?
I have some notes here and there, but I mean, it's a.
What do you think about Leatherface the icon?
He's all right.
For the watchers, Elaine shrugged their shoulders.
Kind of did the De Niro thing.
For the watchers,
he's
Lane
okay.
just did a De Niro impression.
He's fine. He's not. He's not nearly like the other three. Like his. Yeah, I mean he's.
You think he's
an
at the
interesting
bottom?
character, but not definitely of like Jason, Michael, Freddy. Yeah, for sure.
I would put Michael over, and then I would put him over. I would put.
Should we do fuck, marry, kill of all of these guys right now?
Well, what are we? What are we ranking?
Well, we
Like
need a fourth
the
thing, too,
iconography
right?
or
Like
like the horror
iconic
factor?
Yeah, yeah. I would say
I feel like he's not as iconic as the other three, like
Yeah.
by far, right?
agreed.
Well, then I have to
Like-
concede, but I think he's scarier than Freddy and Jason.
Which one is Freddy? Is he
The scarred. With
Freddy's the
the
claws
claw
nightmare guy.
Okay. Which one is Jason?
the
With ski mask?
Jason's hockey mask.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hockey mask.
For the watchers, Ricky is pondering very physically.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen their movies. I don't know. I can't really say whether they're scarier or not. But like seeing them in like mass media, like outside of their movies, there's just very little Leatherface out there.
That's true.
I think I think there's an argument to be made that he's the scariest one.
How? Elaborate.
I think he looks scarier. I think his mask is scarier than Michael's, though they do have like
They're
the
very
black
similar.
eyes
Yeah.
thing going on. But I think for Michael, when you watch the first Halloween movie, has
Yeah.
Ricky seen Halloween? Have you seen Halloween, Ricky?
He has.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like when you see him, you instantly recognize like this is a dude wearing a mask, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like when you watch this movie, again, I'm trying to like put myself in the headspace of like I'm walking into a theater in 1974 and watching this. I feel like for the first like half of his screen time, they obscure him just enough that you're like, what is this, a mask or is this like a monster? Like, what is this
Sure.
guy? What is his face?
Mm-hmm.
And like even then, I don't know if there's, I mean, context clues, you can piece it together, but they never explicitly say like, hey, your mask made of
Right.
skin. It's just like this thing that he's constantly wearing, and once you see more of the details in the house, you can kind of put all that together. But
So like the first two killings, you can't really tell what it is, but like after
Mm-hmm.
they get back to the house and it's like the dinner scene and everything, that's where it's like very
Yes.
explicitly like, oh okay, he's like wearing like
there's
a
also
human face.
the iconic moment where he kills Jerry, which I believe is his name. I really wanted to remember the characters'
one's
names.
Jerry?
The groovy guy.
Jerry's the one. So he kills Kirk with the hammer, and then he puts Pam on the meat hook.
Okay.
Jerry goes looking for
Okay,
them.
yeah.
He finds Pam in the freezer,
Oh.
and then Leatherface comes in and smacks him.
Can we talk about Pam like popping out of the freezer?
Yeah, that was spooky.
Pretty scary, right?
That
Pretty
was
crazy.
pretty
no,
good.
no further.
That was good, yeah.
Okay, good. I thought you were gonna shit talk it.
No,
I was
no,
about
that I was like, oh, okay, like that's when I was like starting to like, oh, okay, this movie's kind of got the sauce. Like, all right,
I'm really shocked that like the
then he gets killed,
Franklin
too.
jump
That's cool.
scare doesn't get you. That like every time I've watched this movie with like more than myself or another person other than myself, more than myself, other than myself, that always gets.
I was
people.
just waiting for it to happen. As soon as they're
Yeah.
walking around
That's
and
fair.
she's like pushing him in the wheelchair, I was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah, they're in the
chainsaw
woods.
dude
I
before
mean,
I knew he was Leatherface.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. So like, dude with the chainsaw is gonna come out and start chainsawing him. I didn't think that he would like. So I thought he was just gonna like come down and like give him like a saw down the middle or something, right?
no, he really is
like,
going in at him.
repeated
Yeah.
in and out, like digging it. I was like, all right, that's a little.
It's a lot.
I don't know what to say. Not explicit. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think
Gratuitous.
that
It was a little gratuitous.
it's also a funny thing on the commentary is like when they get to the forest chase, all they could talk about was like Marilyn Burns, who plays Sally. She runs so fucking slow. This was such a pain in the ass to shoot.
I noticed this.
because Gunnar Hansen kept catching up to
Well,
her,
So
which is so
at the end,
funny.
that's like a
too.
trope in movies. I didn't know if it was like based off of this movie
Yeah.
or like, but yeah. Like just like she was running so distinctly slow. It's like, what the fuck is
You
going
can
on?
notice
here?
it. It's
Yeah.
it's
In at the end
But-
when she's running to when the hitchhiker is chasing after her, he has to like do a bunch of business to like slow down so he doesn't catch up.
Yeah.
He's like going like bleh, like just to like buy him time.
well, even then, like once she gets to the end of the driveway, he's like got his
Yeah,
hands on
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
It's like how are they getting away with? How is she getting
But
away?
she's in the road and Leatherface is like there. He has to like rev the chainsaw a bit to be like, I'm being scary.
Yeah.
I'm not getting to the car
It
yet.
adds to
Oh,
the-
here I
Which
go.
that's
Go
another.
ahead.
I was gonna say that's another hilarious moment is when the truck driver gets out to
then
help
runs
her, and
away.
then Leatherface comes around the corner and he
Yeah.
just runs away.
And they're both just also they're like running away together, and then he turns and does the hammer throw. Like at that point, I was already like, all right, this movie's just kind of ridiculous. Like
It's a good ending.
Great hammer
Yeah.
throw.
a good hammer throw.
Isn't it a wrench?
Her like riding away into the sunset, pretty good. A wrench. It
Am
is
I?
a wrench.
Yeah, I was gonna say, am I trolling?
Yeah, it's a big ass wrench.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you're not.
it is some type
Yeah.
of tool.
To
is a
counteract,
wrench, yeah.
actually, this movie's about it is a return reactionary movie because Leatherface has the chainsaw, but he gets stopped with the old timey tool of just a wrench. He's got the power tools versus manual power. Return.
And they try to do the last kill with a hammer,
Yeah.
referring to the hammer and sickle of communism. This is actually a Red Scare movie, right? This is all about Vietnam
God.
not becoming communist. All right, it all comes together.
There is a level of like conservatism to the family, especially
sure.
like I mean, if you want to get granular and like kind of modernize what this movie's doing, like the makeup that Leatherface wears,
Yeah.
Projecting a personality with the mask.
Yeah.
It's like there could be something there. And also like it changes like 3 times and his behavior changes every time he puts on a new
It's
getup.
fun.
Yeah.
Like he's so like domineering and crazy when you first meet him, and then when he puts on like the grandma makeup, he's like cowering.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, and I find that really unnerving too. That like this scrawny little the cook Jim Cito guy is like
Yeah.
threatening to like hit him, and he's like, "Ah."
Yeah.
For the watchers, I did a Leatherface thing.
This is the most narrated episode to date.
They're appreciating it though.
I'm trying to fit like a glove. I'm
Yeah.
trying to fit like a glove.
I do like the way that Leatherface looks. Not so much. I mean, his look is not particularly iconic, but I do love that he wears a tie and a suit jacket.
Yeah.
He takes it
I think the
seriously.
look is so
and
iconic.
yeah, the makeup.
Do you just mean like culturally, like people don't really know?
It's iconic. It's just, I just think it doesn't look as
Yeah.
cool, I guess, as the others. Like
Well, like
yeah,
I don't know, the Jason mask you see a lot. Like I feel like a lot of rappers use that too. Like Ski Mask, the Slump God. He,
Well,
like,
Jason
does
didn't
stuff
don
with, like,
the hockey mask until
Jason
the third
mask.
movie.
yeah,
Fun fact.
yeah.
Couldn't have told you that.
This is what you
Yeah.
get when you have an expert
You would've
on
died in
to give out these facts.
Yeah.
These little factoids,
You would burn out
just
so
sprinkle
fast
them
if
out.
you were on every week.
I already
correcting
I
Ricky
feel
on
myself
shit.
just like losing it. I feel like I did yesterday when I got my booster, and I woke up this morning feeling normal.
Yeah. Well,
Hell yeah.
every time, every episode is like this. No, the tie is good. His mask is good. It's not a bad look. It's kind of a fun look, but it's just not as it's not as cool as the others. I guess I don't know. It doesn't have the cool factor.
It didn't seep into like.
It's more fun.
It also
look
is
like
the best
that too,
iteration of the
yeah.
look in like any of the films.
Yeah, I believe that. How do you recreate this level?
The only
of,
one that
scuzzy,
like is kind
you
of
know, like a
interesting,
second time?
and it's in maybe the worst movie, is the 2022 Texas Chainsaw movie where they make it like old man saggy
I forgot.
Leatherface, where like the mask has deteriorated over the
Ooh,
course
I
of 50
see.
years. It's like they had something there, but the movie is just awful.
Yeah. Oh, this is gross.
Good ideas, bad execution. We'll get it back.
It's like they wasted like the second best look on the worst movie.
Yeah. Interesting. Sorry, I'm on Google.
I also think it's the most uncanny of all of the Leatherface masks. Like, until you see him sitting down by the window and you can actually see his eyes, it's like the black voids. It's just so like, it's like creepypasta.
You're showing your age.
I know.
Creepypasta. People use that still.
No, I know. I was calling him young, actually, but no.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I guess, am I crazy for being like the
He's
face
hot?
Well, no, I'm not going to hear out. There's no hear me outs in this movie, unfortunately.
I thought that's where you were going.
That would be crazy. No, you would have to euthanize me if I started saying shit like that. No, I don't know. The leather on the face is not inherently scary, I guess. Like like the bone furniture and shit just looks like shit from Etsy. Like part of that is because of the age, right?
You're showing your age.
Yeah.
I like the bones.
I'm not. No, I do too. It's just it's not scary in the same. Like it looks like just shit you could buy at the market, in like the weird market where the hipsters go.
Like now it is, right?
Yes,
but
that's
in
what
the
I'm saying.
70s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I guess his face, like
But
his,
100% agree with that. Yeah.
his look is the same. I'm like, there's leather in and of itself, I guess, is not scary, even if it is somebody's face. Which I'm not convinced that this was someone's face. It could be back skin that he made this face out of.
Back skin.
I don't know.
I mean, at least you have a lot more to work with there, right?
It's true. There could be other
And if you
iterations.
fuck up,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the scariest moment of the film for you two? Don't pause for too long.
I'll cut it.
I don't know. I mean, again, the thing is like, at least for me, this movie was not like extremely scary, right? Like it's very gory, but I don't know. I'm scared pretty easily by like jump scares and just like very unexpected things happening. And this movie did not have a lot of like super unexpected, like, oh my god, like where the fuck did that come from? It's like sort of scary for like different reasons. So I don't know.
I think the Kirk death, the first one with the hammer, is probably the scariest because it's so final. Like, and then just seeing him like shudder on the ground for a little bit. It's the most visceral part of the movie in this movie that's trying very hard to be very visceral. I think that's the scariest one just because it's like done. And because it really takes you off guard. He is like the, handsome, seems like he's going to be kind of the hero of the whole thing. So by taking him out first, it kind of takes you off, puts you on your back foot.
He's the guy that's like, I have half a mind to call the police.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The sensible
Get
one.
a whole mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he wouldn't be in this position.
Honestly, I mean, when the hitchhiker starts cutting himself in the beginning,
That's pretty fucked up.
I was like, oh
too.
shit! Like,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to straight up like keep cutting into his arm or something. I thought it was going to be like much more body horror because they were talking
Sure.
about like oh, Saturn is in retrograde
Oh,
and that
yeah.
means that, like yada yada. I
Which
was like-
always
I was like,
catches me off guard when the
It's
movie
so
starts
funny.
and they start
Talk
talking about that.
astrology.
I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah. It's good shit.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was gonna like off himself right there in like a very bloody way, and I was like, oh man, like I was like sort of like preparing for that, and so like when he just like stopped after cutting his hand, I was like,
Oh.
okay, and then he gives the knife back. I don't know. We've already like well tread ground at this point, but it's still I was like, all right, it made it a lot more like eerie, which I appreciate more. I do like appreciate a more like eerie sort of like tonally I don't want to say tonally horrific, but like a tonally off-putting movie than like one that's just like over the top, like shit just jumping out at you, right? So
You say that, and yet we're going to go see Smile next weekend, so...
Smile.
Smile?
I liked the first Smile because it was kind of eerie.
It
Am I
was.
projecting?
and,
Did they-
and they had a lot of stuff jumping out too.
Did they
It was
make
like
the
a good-
smile logo a 2 with the S, or am I just like
You just made that up.
completely inventing that?
You made it up. Sorry. No, it's like Smile 2, and then there's a smile underneath the logo.
Oh, it's
think
Jack
I've seen-
Nicholson's son, right? On the poster.
What?
On the Smile 2 posters, it's like him, it's Jack Nicholson's son.
What? No, wait.
I don't think he's in the movie. I think they just got him for the iconic, like, jeans.
Are you kidding? What are you talking about? You're totally trolling right now.
I
Type
know
in
which one you're
Smile
looking
2 Jack
This
Nicholson's son. Yeah.
at. This, yeah.
Is that Jack Nicholson's son?
Yeah.
I don't know who this is, but yeah, I guess.
I think they hired him literally just for the poster.
No, he's in the movie because
like,
I've seen
is
I've
that
seen
not
this
him
trailer a
in the
million
trailer?
times. No,
Is he
that's
in
a
the
different
movie?
guy. Yeah.
No, that's not Jack Nicholson. That's
No.
he's from Euphoria.
Yeah. No, that's because that guy was in the last movie too, Ricky. Glad this is a Pro Smile 2 podcast. No, I didn't know Jack Nicholson. Ray Nicholson.
He is in the
Holy
movie.
shit.
Ray Nicholson, yeah.
God damn.
Does he want to be an actor?
He is an actor. He's got a
He's in a couple
like
of
a
things, yeah.
50
Is Jack Nicholson's son like, we want to act?
I don't think he is. He was in Promising Young Woman. He was in Licorice Pizza, your favorite movie of all time that you think is not problematic and perfect, Nick.
Oh my God, here we fucking go.
He was in The Benchwarmer. He was
Now I
in...
got to do a 15-minute tangential defense of
You
myself and the movie.
You really don't. That's so interesting. I didn't know Jack Nicholson had any kids that were famous.
Who is he in Licorice Pizza?
I'm going to name a name and you're going to be like, oh yeah, him. Ray. His name's Ray. Ray Nicholson plays Ray in Licorice Pizza.
I have no idea who Ray is in that movie.
This is really interesting though. I didn't, because I've seen this character in, or like I've seen this shot of him in the trailer for Smile, because I've seen the Smile 2 trailer like 7 times in the theaters. And it's just kind of a weird placement of like him, like it's like, why this guy like in this scene? And so knowing that they're playing on The Shining there is very interesting. God, I can't wait for this movie. This might be my most anticipated movie now for the rest of the year.
Well, what movies do scare you too? Just out of curiosity. Like, what movies would you say are actually like, this is a horrifying movie to me?
Recent ones?
Silkwood,
the first
Ricky's
half-
about to say. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the first half of Pulse,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, and like, again, that was like very tonally like eerie and off-putting, and there was also like just random shit like jumping out or like creeping on screen, which is like scary. Lane gets scared by a lot of shit, so I don't know.
I get startled easily. I wouldn't say I get scared by a lot.
True.
Hereditary scared me really bad the first time I watched it, and did for a while after. Although the most recent
I saw
time
that
has
movie
broken me.
High.
Yeah, we talked about this. It's a fucked up thing.
It
You've
it
altered
was-
your life
It was
doing that.
it was not a fun time. Because I don't even remember, like, when that movie came out, I mean, people were hyped and it was getting all the, like, this is the scariest movie ever since The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, I went into it expecting it to be good because it had a lot of positive buzz, but I was going into it also like, they're exaggerating this.
Yeah, no way it could be that scary.
And I still, like, the movie has scary moments to me, but like, I think going in high was a huge mistake because
Yeah.
as soon as Charlie gets decapped,
Spoilers.
I wanted to puke.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an example of a movie that might have like pushed a boundary a little bit. I
I
feel
think
like
so. Yeah. Child death.
that kind
and
of-
a twist. Yeah.
it's like what could be shocking to a modern audience. It's like something like that is pretty, you know, oh, you don't
Transgressive.
touch something like that. But Ari Aster, the madman, he did it.
Yeah.
When they flash back to like when the kid's in school and like he like sort of like flashes, I don't remember whether like
He
it's
sees-
straight up flashbacks.
He
or
sees
it's
the
like
rear
just in his
view.
eyes or something.
He sees the rear view mirror.
yeah.
Yeah, and he sees
Yeah.
her body.
and we see the body, the decap body. That's, I mean, Ari Aster, Madman, like you said, that's fucking crazy, and that's cinema right there. That shit's great. Like that's scary.
It's horrific.
Yeah,
See, that's cool.
that's another movie I found very scary too. Yeah, but
Other than Hereditary, what would you say the next scariest movie is for you, Lane?
The movie Safe by Todd Haynes scared me really, really bad when I watched that. That was like right before all the shit with like lupus started to happen with me, and I was like, man, like I don't know if I can do this.
That's a great movie.
It's a fucking awesome movie. We'll watch that at some point, Ricky. That's a certified
Dude, F Joaquin.
Fuck Joaquin Phoenix. True.
Is Mr. Phoenix in that movie?
No, Todd Haynes was making a new movie. That the director of that movie. He directed May December as well, another movie that we'll watch one day.
Okay, I've heard of that.
He had a new movie kind of cooking with Joaquin Phoenix that Joaquin Phoenix wrote. He came to him with the script about like a gay journalist or something, and I guess Joaquin Phoenix was like, we need this to be like super transgressive, like we're like lots of explicit sex and like, you know, crazy themes and stuff. And then Joaquin Phoenix like dropped out like 2 weeks before production or something, or like a week before.
Dude,
Basically,
I think it was even worse than that. I think it was like a week before.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, ensuring that the movie doesn't get made, basically.
And what? He dropped out to go film Joker 2?
No,
like...
he dropped out because he's a...
Oh, this happened very, very recently, like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And people were asking him about it when Joker premiered. They tried to corner him at like the Venice Film Fest, and he was just like, I don't want to speak for other people, so...
Yeah.
As he's like getting ready to just like leave and never talk to anyone
like it, I mean, I don't know how common knowledge it was. Certainly wasn't for me, but like after this story broke, like other stories started coming out of like, oh yeah, Joaquin almost like shit canned my movie too because he got scared at the last second.
Yeah.
Split, M. Night Shyamalan's movie, that was supposed to be Joaquin, and he dropped out, and then James McAvoy got the role.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Dude, stupid, dumb shit to do. You're a fucking millionaire. What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Just fuck a guy on screen.
Yeah, like honestly.
It's not that tough, man. Like, come on.
Well, back to like movies that are, you know, actually scary. It's like whenever you ask people who are like, you know, kind of maybe not even cinephiles, but just like have like more broad taste than like the average moviegoer. When you ask them like what's the scariest movie to them, it's always some sort of not even left field, but it's not what you would always expect necessarily. I feel like there's like everyone has a movie that speaks particularly to them.
Yeah.
And I don't even think this is the scariest. Texas Chainsaw is not the scariest. It's certainly one that unsettles me to a degree, and like whenever I watch it, you know, watching it with commentary kind of kills the horror. But like when I saw it in the theater on the print, or anytime I've watched it like in a serious like lights out environment, it's like the dread really gets to me. Black Christmas came out the same year as this. I think that's a scarier film. I don't know if y'all have seen
totally
the original
100%
Black Christmas.
scarier. Yeah, we'll watch that one day, Ricky.
It's that movie, like
You've said that
one
like
of the
5 times.
one of the few
watch that one
like
day.
Texas Chainsaw is a movie where like I get scared when I really think about it.
Sure.
Like being in that position, watching
Yeah,
it,
oh, yeah.
I can kind of distance myself from it, but like the dinner scene to the end of the movie, I find really upsetting and unnerving and dreadful. But a movie like Black Christmas, I'm watching it and I'm feeling the terror so viscerally that it's like almost an experience I don't want to have.
Yeah.
And I think that movie and like Suspiria, the original Suspiria, are the
interesting.
two
No
movies
spoilers.
that have like
no spoilers.
No spoilers.
That's on my Hooptober list. And I'm actually.
And you might watch it and you might be like, this is
a local theater. So like.
Yeah.
oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's really
But
cool.
like I saw that when I was in school because our college had like a huge movie theater, and I mean you would have classes in there. They would show fucking old prints and like old movies, and they showed I took a horror movie class and they showed Suspiria in it, and I knew nothing about it, and just like watching it, it like got me so bad, and like I haven't
That's
watched
fun.
it since. It's on my Hooptober list actually. I'm gonna rewatch it for the
yeah.
first time since then, and I'm wondering if it's gonna have the same effect or not. But like, it bothered me so bad.
yeah.
I think a lot of it too is like getting into the movie. Like, if you're in a theater, it's so easy to get like drawn into like the tension of the crowd and like feeling it.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I watched this movie like while there was daylight out, surrounded by my cats, just sort of hanging out on the couch. Not that I wasn't like tuned in or anything, but like I definitely was like not tuned in. I was like I had taken a step back from the characters. I wasn't like, oh shit, like oh fuck, like they're gonna die. I was just like, oh, all right, like this guy's about to get chainsawed.
And I also just love the movie beyond like the fear factor. I think it's amazingly well made. I think I love the cinematography. I love just the weird details of the family themselves beyond just like.
It is surprisingly, the cinematography is like surprisingly good.
It looks really good.
The Blu-ray I watched was like this pristine restoration.
Really, really good, especially for like. You're talking about how cheap it was to make and how quickly how quick the production run was for it. And, like, putting that into account, it looks really fucking good. Especially for a movie
Not to shout out a different podcast, but, like,
kinda crazy.
When Blank Check was talking about Eraserhead, they were y'all's favorite movie.
Lane loves Blank Check.
Lane does not.
Eraserhead is great.
really?
We are not gonna. Oh wait, you talking about Blank Check?
But also Eraserhead sucks too.
Eraserhead does not suck. Movie, but, you suck.
Eraserhead, thank you. Thank Christ.
I love Eraserhead. I have a poster of it. Hold on. For the watchers, I'm holding up my
Do you really have a Pulp Fiction poster? Is that what I'm seeing right now?
Yeah, and Saw.
Oh my god. What is that third one?
And then Texas Chain Saw, Hellraiser 2, and Friday the 13th. Nice. We found these at like a novelty like video store, and we were like, they were like $1 each. So we were just like, fucking, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Why not?
But what were we talking about? Oh, Eraserhead. On Blank Check, they were talking about like, old movies that get restored. They'll do like a 4K restoration of a movie that was made so cheap and it looks like dog shit, but they restored it like it's going to make it look better. But like Eraserhead and a movie like this where like it's just shot so well that like the restoration really like makes the vision of the movie like pop so much more. And like watching it, it's just like it's a visual delight. It's a treat watching Sally get bashed with a hammer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say delight. I wouldn't say visual treat. I wouldn't use either.
So you hate women? So you hate women is what I'm
Licorice
hearing.
Pizza is actually not problematic. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no.
No, so on the visual stuff, I do think one thing.
But there are certain parts of this movie that do look really good.
Yes, well, one thing, not even just that it looked good, but I was actually pretty impressed with some of the kind of more experimental, not even experimental, but just like unconventional stuff, like the cuts to the cows, like drooling and shit in the beginning. Obviously, the way it opens with the corpse and like the flashing lights is very, or not flashing lights, but like the light turning on and off. That is really upsetting. But then at when they're at the dinner table and there's like a good 30 seconds of her, it like just suddenly kind of zooms in, the music picks up and it just zooms in on her eyes. Like even just one eye. And it's just her kind of screaming for like 30 seconds, just like cuts of her screaming with
you can see like the
intensity
veins
and like thrashing about. That was pretty upsetting and like, yeah, that was one of the more visceral parts of the movie. And yeah, very kind of unconventional in that way.
You can see like the veins in her, like around her pupil. It's so,
yeah.
And I feel like that also contributes to like the, the PETA message of like, this is just like an animal in a state of terror.
But that was a bit gratuitous. Just like, I don't know, the screams got to a certain point where I was like, all right, like this is too much.
Christopher said the same thing. He's like, when is she going to stop screaming?
Like,
yeah.
I mean, especially like, and then like even when she's on the truck at the end, like getting out, and I get that that's more of like a like fuck, like Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Those are like maybe a little bit more justified, but the beginning of the movie really reminded me of Longlegs, and it sort of makes me appreciate Longlegs a little bit more and how they homaged a lot of like older horror movies, which is just interesting. Like the more old horror movies that I see, the more of an appreciation for like a new movie which homages them I have. So
that's why I started this podcast with you, Rick.
I was gonna say for the watchers, Ricky mentioned Longlegs and Lane started rubbing their hands together mischievously.
It's true, yeah. Longlegs is great.
Licorice
Pizza looks like shit because it's a bad movie.
The way that like this movie does jump scares, which like there's not that many, but also just like the way it imposes like a frightening image on you, where I think the first example is the cattle, where just like a conversation is being held and then all of a sudden you're just this music cue and then there's the cows. And then also when they go to that abandoned, I don't know if it's a mansion or what, but like that abandoned property, and Kirk
Yeah.
goes into a room and it just cuts to the daddy long leg nest. And it's just like this really like sharp moment that just like cuts into the movie and then it goes away. It just like these little lurching moments of like, what the fuck? And then it pays off when Kirk goes into the house and then he trips and he looks up and Leatherface is just there with the hammer. That's like the scariest part of the movie for me. That whole thing is just so fucked up and horrifying to me.
So the earlier ones are really disconcerting, right? Like it really sort of like puts you on edge. But once the Texas Chainsaw Massacre started, like from then on, I was like, I will be surprised by nothing that occurs here. Like,
You know what? Actually,
everyone's dying.
bringing up that scene with Kirk, when he like first, because you're from kind of like looking at him as he looks into the house. He's kind of like peeking up against the screen, but then it shows his point of view, and it's just like this bright blood red like hallway next to the staircase. That part is actually really scary to me because it's just so jarring and like it shouldn't be there. And yeah, just creepy. Like not even like, I mean, bones are creepy in general, but yeah, the on that red background is fucked up.
It's a great visual, but also it's great shorthand for like, because the scene is so quick when he goes into the house that when Pam goes in and then Jerry goes in, like, like that's the danger zone. That's where Leatherface is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just looks so, it's just like that one red rectangle that amidst the like dull
It's
colors.
super striking.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So it's similar, not to throw it back to the upskirt shots, but like it's similar to the shorts that Pam is wearing and as she's walking. It's
That's
like,
true.
look, a lot of male gazy
crazy comparison to
cinematography
make,
is very
but yeah.
obvious, but like if you're going to do male gazy cinematography, it may at least make it look striking, like that shot. Not the first shot at the gas station where she's at the Coke machine. We've already established that one sucks and is problematic. I'm running out of breath.
Not even problematic. It's just like, again, gratuitous. It's like, all
annoying.
right, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
we all
doesn't really
hate
have to
looking
be
at
here.
women's
But the one where she's
butts.
walking
We all
into the
hate
house-
it.
It's true. We do.
The one when she's walking to the house, like, I think that's really cool. Just like the house in the background is like so looming and ominous, and like, I mean, you mentioning the showing the back for the meat hook is like very not something I picked up on, but like definitely.
Well, and
I
also the
totally-
Is
shot
that not one
ends-
of the
like,
retcons? Is that not one of those Tobe Hooper hits blunt?
I feel that
Actually,
one
I
to
meant
me
this
makes
to be-
more sense. It doesn't feel like a stretch.
that doesn't. Yeah, I like as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, okay, like I could see that.
But also the shot doesn't hold on that for like she walks away from the camera at a certain
Right.
point and she ends up in like the background, or at least she's like smaller in the frame. So like I give them a little leeway, and also it's fucking one of the most iconic shots in horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what makes it interesting. It's just that, like, I like you know she's walking to her doom, right? And then, like, as she sort of like walks away from the camera, it's like, oh god, like every step is just taking you further and further into hell. It's like, oh no. Fuck.
Also, did y'all have any particular thoughts about the moment where Leatherface sits by the window and it just does that close up on his face and he's like thinking?
No.
When was that?
It's
I don't
after
even think I
it's
registered
after I think his name's Jerry finds Pam in the freezer, then Leatherface
Yeah,
knocks
he's
him
like,
out.
Right, and then he just
Oh,
sits
oh,
and
third-
waits.
Third death,
for a
and then
second.
Leatherface like
Yeah.
runs over to
Yeah.
the window and he sits down, and it just like holds on his face.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did
it's
did
just
that
him-
strike you any certain way?
I mean, it just seemed like
not
building
really.
tension, like he's waiting for the
Yeah.
rest of them to come. You know.
I always
And you get like a good look at like the fucked up baubles.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool.
I always
Scene
have
setting.
It's just like his life.
I've
I
seen
guess.
Yeah.
people like trying to poeticize that moment, and like I don't even think they're wrong necessarily, but people are like, what is going, like it does show that there is like an internal experience happening within this character, but like listening to the commentary track, they were cracking up at that scene. They were like, he's upset because he doesn't know where all these people are coming from. I was watching it with that mindset,
too.
and he's like looking around like wildly, like where are all these fucking people coming from? It's really and it's like knowing that that's kind of just a comedy moment.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how like stuff can get not lost in translation, but
Misinterpreted.
how people can
Interpreted.
just like see something different in it, and then these
So-
three guys are like cracking up about it.
So what is the what do they write in blood? Do they write something, or is it just like there's blood here?
Oh, on the
yeah.
pan,
Does it looks like a number, but I
yeah.
can't tell
I
what
was going to mention, yeah, what is
what
that?
number. I thought maybe it was like. Yeah, she's like, oh, that guy. When they're parked to get gas, and the guy's like, ain't no gas. The other one is like washing their van, but then he smears blood on the side, and I think it's to indicate like.
Oh, the hitchhiker does that.
The hitchhiker did it before.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I just must have. I didn't even notice that this time.
It kind of looks like a. I don't know, like a musical, like
a treble clef.
Treble clef.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah. Like
a rest.
Like a pause, like a rest.
Yeah.
He was trying to draw a dick.
Because it goes down, it has a little swoop.
Yeah, he was doing one less graffiti.
You got the shaft. And
Well, because the only thing, I mean, like, you see him do it and you're like, oh, he's just being gross. But then they mention it later, and they do, like, the characters mention it later, and then they also show a close-up of it for a minute that kind of lingers. And it's like, is this a sign? Is this supposed to be like I kind of thought it might be like, tag this van, like this van's full of victims or like potential meat, you know?
Yeah. So that's what I thought it was at first, right? But like later, the third brother, the cook, was like, like what the hell? You shouldn't have let your brother alone in the house by himself. Like he seems like genuinely angry about it, and it like he would have seen the sign, and it's like he didn't register it, or like I don't know. I think maybe that had a point at like some point in time when they were like making the movie, and then they were like, fuck it, whatever. We've got too much going on already. We got the chainsaw.
The question that I had this time is to what extent is the window washer in on all this? Does he know about like
Does he
his
know?
family's cannibalism? Like I never in all of my previous watches have never been like, what's this guy's deal? Because like he doesn't say anything, but they cut to so many close-ups of him.
He doesn't do anything.
He's
in on it.
He's in on it.
I think so.
You think he's in on it?
Yeah.
He just wasn't invited to dinner that time.
Maybe he doesn't live there,
honestly.
you know, but the guy's running the barbecue shop or whatever. Obviously there's human meat involved. So like
You'd like it if you didn't know what was in it.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Do you think you could eat human meat?
If I were in
like
a stressful or not a stressful situation.
like life.
If I had a bad day, I would come home and eat a foot.
Lane in a situation.
Yeah, but it'd have to be really bad.
Lane sitting in a fucking meeting, sweating bullets, like, oh god.
If only I could eat this.
Like,
Like
a leg or
if
something
someone
to
like
calm
put like what you thought was chicken in front of you, would you eat it and be like, "This is a weird chicken that I'm eating," or would you? Do you think you would sense that something was off?
Oh, I mean, between chicken, yes, but I mean,
I mean, if they said it was like veal or something, right? Which I've heard is what
That's
human
actually
meat
that's an
tastes
even better
like.
example of like a meat that you haven't had.
Yeah. If somebody was like, oh, like this is mutton, and like
This is mutton.
I've never really had mutton before. They're like, yeah, no, it's just like this is like it's kind of like a lamb shank, but it's like it's when they're older, so it's a big old hunk of meat. I'd be like, oh, all right, sure, why not? And if it was, I mean, if you prepare it a certain way, I feel like you wouldn't really be able to tell.
It'd probably be
at a certain
good.
point, right? I don't know about good, but
Well, because I feel like that's like a trope in movies is like someone eats human meat and they like puke. That's got to be like a psychological thing
yeah.
yeah.
versus like
I think it'd just be like any other like really wiry meat, right? Because it's, I mean, keep in mind like a lot of like the meaty parts of people, right? Like your leg or whatever would be like you're using that all the time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be kind of tough, you know. I don't think it's gonna be a good cut. Maybe the brain might be good. Liver, I guess liver you wouldn't be able to tell the difference if somebody was like, hey, liver and onions. I don't know.
Would you ever
don't eat
willingly
meat.
try human meat in like a controlled environment?
Nah, fuck no.
I don't want prions.
Yeah, me neither.
Of course not.
No, that's
guys.
gross. Ew.
Yeah, I don't really have the interest.
So what are we talking about now?
I don't know. What movies scare
I
you?
think that's the pod.
Oh, go ahead.
What movies scare me?
What movies scare you? Yo.
Yeah.
A Black Christmas, this movie, Suspiria. I feel like this is a curse word on this podcast, maybe. Skinamarink got me pretty bad.
I haven't seen it.
Let me look
Yeah,
real
same.
quick. I have my faves list. I have a shit
We
memory,
should
so I
watch
need
that.
it in front of me.
That should be our next We Want a Whale. Should be Skinamarink.
I love
think.
Skinamarink.
because it's a
I
movie
love
I've
Alien, but I don't
avoided.
think it's very scary. Angst freaks me out
Yeah.
really, really bad.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Cure.
That movie fucking fucked me up. That movie
I
scared
know
me
you
so
love Cure.
bad.
Weird. This is Cloverfield scares me, and maybe
That's a
that's
weird one.
dumb.
No, just strange, but everybody gets one.
That one scares me.
I totally get that though. Again, that's like an eerie one though, right? Where it's like,
I don't-
especially just like the way that it's like shot from the. I don't know. I haven't seen it since I was in high school, but like back then, it didn't scare me. But I don't know. I like the build up to like the reveal of the alien. Once they reveal the alien, like all the way at the end, I was like,
That's when it
oh,
gets
this
good.
is significantly less scary.
I'm like, show me this
This
fucking
one-
big ass kaiju. Yeah.
This might just be like a personal bias because I find sharks scary, but Jaws freaks me out. I think Jaws is like the premier example of like a scary blockbuster movie, like a scary
Yeah.
blockbuster horror movie.
I thought you were going to say Sharknado for a second.
Sure.
I was going to be like, Jesus
too.
Christ.
I mean,
You're like, oh my
low-key,
god, sharks in the sky?
I've
Like-
seen some really like, critically panned shark movies and they always freak me out.
That's crazy. Wow.
Conceptually, just the idea of being eaten by, I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Jaws was pretty freaky. I think that was like
Is it all
Again,
animals?
Because I'm afraid if I
maybe scary.
I'm afraid if I
but-
talk about it, I'll dream about it, and that will fucking I will kill
Yeah.
myself. I shouldn't say kill myself.
Don't
I'm
do that.
sorry.
Yeah.
You'll get eaten by a shark. Are you scared of any animal eating you, or is it just sharks? Like, do bear attack movies scare you? Or
No, it's.
The Revenant.
I think sharks. It's also like the ocean is even scarier to me
Oh, yeah.
conceptually
True.
than sharks,
yeah,
and I
the
just see
ocean's scary.
sharks as like the fucking monster that's in the ocean. I feel like if there was out in outer space, just like these things flying around that like they've eaten astronauts, I would probably be scared of those because I'm so scared of like being in deep space.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same sort of thing, right? Like the ocean, huge, like vast, uncaring. Like
Will kill you.
You're kind of at its whim. Will kill you. And then like also there's just like a fucked up thing with a bunch of teeth swimming around in it, which will also kill you. And it's like, oh, all right, well, what the fuck, man?
That you also
Right?
can't even really see, like unless you're like underwater looking for it. It's like it could just like. I don't even want to think about it. There's this movie called it's I haven't seen Open Water, but it's basically the same thing as Open Water, where it's about this group of teenagers or whatever, and they go on a boat and the boat capsizes and they're just in the middle of the ocean. That is like the most horrifying thing that I could ever imagine. Like it bugs me.
Yeah, it's scary because like again, it is just like uncaring. It's like being lost in space, right? Like you're just well, like what the fuck do you do?
Gravity's not scary to me, but like I do
The thought of
remember
it.
having a bit of a visceral reaction to like the shot of Sandra Bullock flying into space and she's getting smaller in the frame. Fuck that, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you meant gravity as like a concept, and I was like, Isaac Newton better watch himself. Bro.
I
You
hate that
know,
I'm not
you're gonna
floating
screw up.
right now.
Yeah.
I think
Let me
one of
catch
the
that apple-headed motherfucker.
one of the most like scared I've ever been in a theater was watching Titanic in 3D last year, I think it was, for Valentine's Day, or 2 years ago. Whenever they re-released it in theaters most recently, that was intense, the last, hour of that movie in like big ass theater in 3D. Yeah, as a fellow person of scared of water experience.
I don't even think like I remember when I was young I went and saw like an underwater nature documentary that was like IMAX 3D.
Well, that's
I can't
fine,
even
right? Yeah,
handle
those
that.
are, like, cute
That's what I
and
mean.
good.
Is like
Yeah.
like the opening shot.
really?
I remember so because it like I felt sick to my stomach. It was the camera was like water level, like looking out at the horizon, and then these waves like come and like it washes over the camera and you're underwater. And I just
my
remember
God.
like I almost started crying. Like watch like it freaked me out so bad. It's
my
just like an
God.
irrational. But also I'm not like incapable of going into the ocean.
It's not irrational.
Like I've been to oceans, I've gone swimming at like beaches and stuff. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but if you were like out in the ocean, like in open water,
I would die
you
of a
feel
heart
different.
attack. It'd
Right.
be over.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm the same
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
If you swim out like far enough, it definitely does get really like.
And see, I would
freaky,
never do
right?
that.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I like going out pretty far, and then sometimes you get to a point where you're like, ooh, like I'm barely seeing people back there, and it's also like I'm getting a little tired, and that's where it's like, fuck, man, like I don't
Well,
want
I've
to be
also
tired
heard
out
horror
here.
stories of like people who do that and they get caught in
Just- I
riptides.
don't know. It's creepy.
It's like
Right. Well, like riptides can pull you out from like even pretty close to shore. Riptides
Yeah.
like
It's
really
so
freak
scary.
me out. Yeah, the whole idea of that.
I'm glad we have an ending song here for you to sing. Riptide.
Baby.
I had another
Save it.
another
Yeah.
big thing that I wanted
There's
to
been a lot
litigate.
of songs mentioned, or a lot of tag.
Yes,
messages.
go
So,
ahead.
if I heard correctly, you guys didn't like the screaming at the end,
Oh, it's fine. I that doesn't bother. It bothered
just like the
Christopher.
constant screaming.
Yeah.
It was just a lot.
Was Christopher watching the movie with
it
you?
was just too much for me.
Yeah, shout out Christopher. He hates this movie. He doesn't like it. He's even worse about
Okay,
it than I am.
fucking
He was like, I'm not watching
Waterworld.
this movie with you. Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Deep cut.
Shots fired. Yeah. But what? What about
I
the
don't know.
scream?
It is just a lot.
It's not the
though. Yeah, what
screaming in
about the screaming?
particular. I just think it's like whenever people are like, "Oh, it's so annoying. She screams the whole time." I'm like, "What do you want from her? Look at what she's
not even that it's
experiencing."
Right. It's not even that it's annoying. It's just like I do not want to like hear a woman screaming for
Yeah.
like an extended period
40
of time.
I
minutes.
can see how like if the movie's not
Yeah.
working for you, it is like just like a cherry on top of like annoyance. But when I'm watching it, I'm so like, I get it, girl.
Locked in.
I've been there.
I get it, girl.
But also like if you think
you
like like contextually, she has like from the forest chase to the end of the movie, she has no earthly idea of like what is waiting for her. She doesn't know that her
Right.
friends
Yeah,
are dead.
yeah.
She takes Franklin out into the woods and just like in the snap of a finger, this and back to like, you know, his face being obscured and you can't tell what you're looking at. She's in the dark and this thing just like massacres her brother, starts chasing her. She goes into a house, this fucking skeleton's in there. She jumps out the window, which every time I've seen this movie in a public setting, everyone laughs at the window. I think the window's cool that she just like is like, I'm just gonna jump out
It's
this
because
window.
It's because it's so obviously not her jumping out of it. I think is why people laugh.
No.
Because it's
I think people just find it funny how sudden it is. Like
Oh, sure, maybe. Yeah.
of just like she runs up the stairs and she just jumps out the window.
What movie?
Also,
what?
her seeing the family upstairs, very reminiscent of Psycho, where
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
The
yeah,
light bulb.
see that.
Is
But then
there
she
another
gets
movie?
like
Bed.
she gets like knocked out and then she wakes up in the dinner scene and it's like people are like, why is she screaming so much? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean why
So
is she screaming so much?
It's not like I'm like, oh, like why is she screaming so much? But again, it's just like gratuitous. Like from the point that she gets kidnapped, like I mean, she was like screaming before that, obviously, when she was running around. But like you get that sort of like lull where she's like in the gas station, and like you really get to like see her face where she's like not in a calm environment for sure, but it's less like going on and like you really get to see like the impact that it's having on her where she's just like
Yeah.
this is fucked, like everyone's dead, what the fuck. And then it's like I don't know, I just don't want to like I don't know, when she's like struggling and then like screaming again, it's like I don't know.
Maybe it's
that's
just
not,
the empath in me.
it's not something I want to be watching, right?
Don't laugh.
What other movie has?
No, I'm sorry, it's just that's like a meme. They're like I'm just so empathetic. Like it's
What
a meme.
other horror movie has someone jumping out of a window and it's kind of funny? Like they run from like something. Like oh, it's Hereditary. The end of Hereditary, he runs out
does
the
run out the
window because
window.
he sees her do it.
Which that's
Like,
a horrific
and-
image as well.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. For the
Yeah.
watchers, I was sawing my head off with piano wire.
Oh, I'm sorry. I slipped
but
up
no, he
there.
runs-
I should have called
yeah.
that out for the watchers. I'm sorry, watchers.
The fuck? Come on. But no, he runs and kind of like jumps and just lands with a thud out the. And is that like an homage to this? Maybe.
I feel like inevitably
Yeah.
any character that does that in
might
a
be,
horror
yeah.
movie will now just be like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw thing. Because it is
Yeah.
so just like I mean, there's
She does
no
it twice.
way
I mean-
she does it twice, which that's another mechanic in the game. You can jump out windows.
Iconic.
You actually get a trophy if you
Oh
jump
my
out of that
God.
specific window and run down the
They
driveway
just
and
thought of
escape.
everything, huh?
Oh my god.
It's pretty thorough, but
Wow.
I think it's just I mean, they don't like there's not like a shot of like a POV of her heading towards the window. Like the geography of the space doesn't point you into thinking like this window is like going to be a prime
There's a
escape
window there.
route. It's just like she runs up the stairs and it cuts and she just goes through the window. It is like devoid of context. It is just like a funny like little thing, but like I'm like, I would jump out the window. Fuck it.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah, 100%. Yeah. I would have jumped
Yeah.
out the window earlier, to be honest, because she's on the 2nd
I'm
level
built
and then she
different.
runs
I
back
would've
down the
jumped out
stairs
Oh
and
my
then runs
god!
up.
Do
with
not
it, right?
bait Ricky into this. So I'm watching the
Facts.
scene where she runs up into the attic because there's the old guy, the grandpa, is up there.
He's up
But
there
then
with grandma.
is it grandma? Yeah, but grandma's dead.
Oh,
Grandma's
she's
got
super dead.
Yeah.
she's
He
Yeah,
looks
right,
dead when you
that's
first
true.
see
Grandpa
him.
was
Yeah.
dead too here. to
she's
be
got
honest with
no
you.
eyes.
I thought they
She
were
is
just
straight
both
up.
dead. Yeah.
She looks like a shrunken head from the gift
Yeah.
shop. Oh man.
She was actually trapped in a gift shop, and she's like running around looking at all the knickknacks.
Am I gonna
like,
have to play Macklemore's thrift shop to end this?
jumps out the fucking window.
No,
Um,
please. Well, actually, we kind
maybe.
of fuck with Macklemore.
Yeah. I
Not
think-
musically.
I could.
I
could
kind of
stand
fuck
He's
it.
with
just,
Macklemore
he's just he's
musically
being a
now.
political activist right now, and he's being cool about it.
Oh. See, I have listened to Thrift Shop within the last couple months and been like, you know what? This song's good. We need this back.
It's a
We
great
need it."
song.
I do want to pop some
It's a good
tags.
song. I do. It's true.
I've only got $20
I've
in
only
my
got
pocket.
$20 in my pocket.
I say
I'm hunting,
I
looking for
often,
a come up. This is fucking awesome.
I say I'm like,
I do
yo,
walk up
that's
to the club like,
$50
"What up?
for a
I got a big
t-shirt,"
cock."
all the time. That too. I also say, "What if I
True.
got a big cock?"
Yeah. I was gonna say that's like Lane's iconic line.
There's degrees of like you hear the song for the first time and you're like, that's catchy, and then you hear it and you're like, this is corny white rapper shit. And then years pass and you're like,
He's
maybe I should just unironically love
he's
this.
so right for
like
that.
this is
though.
kind of
yeah, like
at least he knows his lane. I'll say that. Not lane, like you lane, but like
should.
lane, like traffic lane.
Yeah. As far as corny white rappers go, Macklemore is definitely up at the top of the ones that are tolerable. I feel like.
yeah.
He's cut out himself a spot on the
He's
throne.
above. What's the
well,
other dude? From
Not
the-
Watch the Throne, Kanye West and Jay-Z,
Are you
just
thinking-
like the throne of white hip hop.
Are you thinking of Machine Gun Kelly?
I was thinking of G
that-
Easy actually. The guy from like
Easy.
Worcester or something. Yeah. Or Horsham. He was from Horsham. That's what it is. Yeah.
We're just.
He went to like the same school that one of my friends did for either like middle school or
doxing
high
yourself.
school or whatever.
All right.
No, because I didn't live particularly close to them. But yeah.
I lived outside of Philly, actually, just outside. All right, we gotta wrap this up.
So did G-Eazy.
This is a 2-hour.
Also, just
fucking
shout
episode.
out the
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre dance, the chainsaw dance at the end.
That's
Amazing.
that's a great shot. That is a good shot.
Oh,
It's just like a perfect ending.
I want to
yeah,
ask
It's a good ending.
the guy who's driving the big truck at the end with like the, I assume cattle in it.
Yeah, what happens to
Yeah,
him?
he's just gone.
Yeah.
And like Leatherface, I was gonna call him Chainsaw Guy, just like doesn't seem to give a shit. He's like, fuck it, wow. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just like a priority. Like he's like, this girl has been in my home for like several hours at this
Yeah.
point. It's like the escape. That's
Yeah.
how I feel when I play the game. I would get up and chainsaw dance.
Well, all of the men, not to do this again, but all of the men are dispatched of very quickly in this, and the women are drawn out.
tortured.
They have very drawn out
Yeah.
deaths. Yeah. Not again, just setting that aside. If you wanted to say, he's
Do
more
they?
interested
I
in
mean,
the
only
women.
one woman dies. 3 guys die.
No, but they
yeah,
torture them.
But the other one is tortured like significantly,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well,
she
the
might
second
live,
one is tortured, but the meat hook death, I don't see that as belabored.
it's
Personally,
She's still alive.
and then
she was
tossed
locked in a
the
freezer.
Freezer,
Yeah.
she is still alive, but also like the emphasis at the end of that scene is that he's cutting up the other guy.
Yeah, but he's dead. The other guy's dead already.
like the dude's just mean.
They're
at
put
that
That's
through
point,
fucking.
less.
That's fucked up.
Again, well,
That's
it's-
fucked up to
it's-
do
I mean,
to
if you wanna,
someone's body.
like do the cow comparison, right? It's like you got the one cow which needs many
Cow
licks,
comparison.
right? And it's like all the guys
Ricky,
are
why are
one
you
lick
comparing
cows.
women to cows?
I'm comparing the guys and the girls.
Do
to
not come for
cows,
Ricky like
so.
this.
Listen,
You
I am-
of all people.
I am equally comparing all people within this movie to cows. Okay?
We all know Ricky hates women. We don't need
That's
to litigate
true.
that
That's
too.
true.
on
Put
this
that in the
podcast.
tagline for this episode. Okay.
Ricky's favorite movie is Licorice Pizza. It's not my favorite movie.
The worst part is I don't even know this movie, so I can't I don't know what you guys are getting at with it.
We'll watch it one day.
But also, like
Add it to the
it's
tally.
not
We'll
real- I
watch it
mean,
one day.
there's no moment in this movie where like the filmmaking is trying to draw you to feel a certain way necessary. I mean, obviously
Other than
the dinner
grossed
scene
out,
is like
yeah.
really
Yeah.
intense. But like there's
Yeah.
no like the window thing that I mentioned of like there's no emphasis on the window. It just comes out of nowhere. It's also like the moment where the hitchhiker gets run over by the truck. It's like that's kind of a cathartic moment.
Yeah.
That one was kind of funny to me, at least. You talk about funny moments.
It
that
is.
one
It's
was
really
funny.
goofy the way he's like.
Yeah, he's waving his arms for the watchers.
For the watchers,
Nick and
I did an
both were
impression.
waving our arms.
Oh my god, we have to wrap. Jesus Christ.
Also, just the way that
We have to rap like Macklemore.
the way that
Alright.
the
Any-
mannequin gets hit afterwards and then gets like run over by the tires. That was like I don't know.
That's
Cathartic and, like,
that's a
funny.
part of the movie where it's like there should have been blood. There should
Yeah,
have been blood in
yeah.
this moment.
Yeah.
It just looks like a balloon gets popped.
Yeah.
But then they make up for it with the chainsaw dance.
It is a freaky dance. It's a good dance at the end.
Yeah.
It's also just like movie's over, nothing else. Story's over, movie's over.
Yeah.
Clean.
They're still out there. I will say, just to end this, I do think this is a movie that still does not rise above the success of its tagline. It has a great fucking tagline, and the movie is
It
not
does
as
have
good.
an amazing tagline.
The tagline is "Who will survive and what will be left of them," which is a fucking banger of a fucking tagline.
Yeah.
And
But
the
then-
answer is one person survives and they're mostly intact.
She had a bit of
Except
skull
for some-
missing. That was like
She did have some skull missing.
Yeah. Oof.
That's also such a fucking grotesque scene of
Yeah.
like her head in the bucket and
fucking-
they're trying to
yeah.
get Grandpa to hit it.
yeah.
It's actually really funny too.
Crazy. it's just like, come on, Grandpa.
Yeah.
But come on, Grandpa. When he drops
Also-
the hammer and everything, and they're like, "All right, Gramps, come on!" Like that was like kind of.
And then he
funny
drops
in,
it
like,
10
a
more
weird,
times.
macabre way. Yeah, it's like, why the fuck are they so committed to this bit? They're like, Grampy's got to do it.
Because he's the patriarch. He's the one that they got.
Oh,
He
true.
upholds the social order.
yeah.
Because if we look at this from a capitalism point of view, this is the nuclear family being perverted.
Right,
Ricky.
right.
It's true.
Also,
I'm not
fuck
making
the
fun
Vietnam
of
War.
academic analysis.
No, he's just making fun of me in particular. All right.
Stacia? Stacia?
Stacia? It's actually Leatherface.
Leatherface. Yeah.
I don't think she's home.
Yeah,
I thought I heard a door open and I got scared. Is it Leatherface?
it is. Anything else to say about this movie?
Nope.
I'm good. I'm good.
Now
I'm
you're
good.
satisfied after 2 hours.
Yeah, we hit 2 hours.
All right. Yeah.
I was gonna say we can't go less than the runtime of the movie.
I think we try
We
to
go-
aim to go less than the runtime of the
Yeah.
movie.
We've only
You
done
do?
that.
We aim to,
Yeah,
yeah.
usually our eps are like 90 minutes max. Usually, the sweet spot's like 90.
You
to
you
100.
do 90-minute maxing.
I'm 90-minute pilled. I'm hour and a half pilled. I'm 90-minute maxing.
I'm tight 90 pilled.
I wish I could take a tight 90 pill. I don't even know what that fucking means.
Do you guys
Lane,
remember
take us out.
vabbing?
Oh God, what?
Remember what?
Vabbing, I said.
Vabbing?
Babbing?
Maybe not. Yeah. Well, I was thinking of like the incel or blank cell, blank pilled,
Yeah.
blank maxing. And I remembered vabbing, which was like around the time that siren maxing was like a big social
Oh,
trend.
okay. Yeah.
It was like using your vaginal juices as like to dab onto you as like a perfume to like attract a mate.
No, for some reason
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
really cross my social circle.
We talked about
Yes.
that. We've definitely yes, it did because I am in your social circle and I know we talked about this.
Did we?
Yes, for sure with Lucy. Yeah, shout
I feel
out
like I've
Lucinda.
blocked that out of my memory. Then I remember you. I remember
You
you guys getting
probably
real into
did.
siren maxing. I do not remember vabbing.
Real into is an intense way to put it.
Leatherface, the cook, hitchhiker, and Grandpa. Which one's an edger? Which one's a gooner?
We're not doing this.
Oh, did we lose
We're
Lane?
not doing it. Oh, we might have.
Or did I just lose
I think we
Lane?
did lose Lane. Yeah.
All right,
is
Ricky,
kind of freaky.
you can drop the pretense and tell me that this is the best movie ever made that you've ever seen.
Yeah, it just wasn't that scary for me, man. I don't know. Okay movie, like not bad, I guess. I don't know if I would really want to watch it again. I don't know. It's okay.
Lane, I was trying to get Ricky to admit while you were gone that this is actually the best movie ever made.
Yeah, good luck. Ricky's seen Heat. Ricky knows
I really
better.
liked Heat. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I need to rewatch it. It's been many, many, many years.
I was thinking of Heat yesterday. Like,
Good ass movie.
Good ass movie. Yeah.
I'm always thinking of Heat. Yeah.
Low key. Like,
Okay. Ricky, next week it's our last episode in the We Want to Whale series. It's kind of crazy.
that was a sad whale.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. But thankfully, we can do this every year now, and you'll actually do your Hooptober now too, maybe.
I'm still gonna do my Hooptober this year. What do you mean? Like you're acting like
It's
it's
just gonna
a
take-
lost cause.
Yeah, it's gonna take you 6 months to do it.
I'm gonna have it done before October ends. Okay.
I don't believe you, but okay. How many have
You're
you
going to
watched
have
so
it
far?
done when the next Hooptober starts.
Yeah, that's more like
might
it.
be
How
more
many do you
realistic.
have to watch?
Like 20.
Like 20. Okay, so we have the same number to watch between now and the end of the month. Only I've watched 30 already.
Yeah, but you also do like 85 movies,
Yeah,
so
That's true.
Okay, Lane watches like way too many fucking movies, and when they were trying to pitch Hooptober to me, they're like, "You only have to like watch one a day," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I have 2 weddings and like just a ton of shit going on." And Lane was like,
You have to
"Well,
watch less than one a day.
I have a
Yeah.
wedding coming up.
still too many."
Are we going to the same wedding?
No, I've already been to mine.
You guys are getting married to each other.
Ooh.
Oh.
Surprise
Okay,
marriage.
Our last
Chainsaw marriage instead of
episode
a shotgun marriage. Sorry, go on.
in this series. Oh my god. I'm about to chainsaw both of you.
Well, we're not in Texas, so you can't. Oh, we lost Lane again.
Maybe just video. Or no. No, they're gone. Oh, shit.
All right, Ricky, you can admit this is the best movie of all time, man.
It's not happening.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know why Discord is shitting itself. It's because we've been on for 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. See,
We've
it's,
had too
I
much
said earlier
bandwidth.
that Discord's been good, and then now they're saying "fuck you." Apparently,
We've used too much bandwidth. You know, they're used to the 90-minute eps. They're like, this is way too much.
They
Guys,
are.
You gotta cut it.
it's true.
You have to
This next
chainsaw it.
movie
Sorry, go on.
is The Exorcist from the 1973, the year before Texas Chainsaw, directed by William Friedkin. Ricky, you have not seen this movie?
Nope.
Cool. Do you know
Do you know anything
about it?
about it?
Jinx.
Yeah, the girl climbs out of the TV, right? Is that this one? No, that's not this one. That's The Ring. That's
is
The
not-
Ring.
It might as
That is
well
not-
be. You had me in the first
No,
half.
this
You
is the
started
one
with
where the girl climbs up on the ceiling and she's like upside down and like she like whips her head around, right? And like
Well, we'll see.
It actually depends on what version you watch.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Okay.
If you watch the
Whoa,
director's
no
cut, that
spoilers,
is
no
true.
spoilers. Okay, all right.
I mean, no, that doesn't happen in any iteration.
Yeah.
I'll watch
never
whatever
happened
cut
in a
is
movie.
free online. All right. From like
Cool. It's on-
Freebie or Tubi, Freevo,
Is it on anything?
It's on Yibu. It's
Yibu,
on...
Glebo.
Oh God!
You can find it on Klebo. Yeah.
It's literally
It's on Ploob.
free on Tube
On-
right now. Like,
It's you can log into Ploob and watch it. It's on HBO Max.
okay. Bet I will watch it there then.
Yeah, with my login.
It's a great movie. It's a great book.
Shout out Lane's login. Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
did I? This is Nick. I mean, you're also hearing this. This is a shout out to Lane. Lane donated or like gave like an AMC card through the registry of one
Oh.
of my friends. And
For the wedding.
for the wedding and for the first wedding, and when we were on like the like bus ride, it was like a little van ride back. The bride Tori was like super drunk, and she was like, "Who is blank?" And I was like, it took me a distinct amount of time
Oh.
because it was your dead
It was
name.
my dead name.
and then it was like,
yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck? I know. I was like, where the fuck do I know from? I was
You don't know my last name?
it was a momentary lapse. I was a little drunk at the night. It was a very long day at
A
night,
little drunk.
and I was like, "What the fuck?" But like, she was talking to like her like bridesmaids and stuff, and like one of them was like, I'm gonna look it up on like some like police registry thing. I was like, wait, that's Lane. That's
my
Lane. I know
God.
who it is. Like, why the fuck do you guys
Yeah.
care so much? And they're like, oh yeah, they like donated an AMC gift card. I was like, yeah, it's Lane. And they're like, oh, like say thank you. Oh my god. And they were like super, super. I mean, everyone was drunk, but they were like super appreciative. So shout out
Good.
Lane.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, they should have been more appreciative for the wedding song, or not should have. I shouldn't say it like that, but yeah, between that and the
They
the
were.
wedding edit.
I told you that.
I know. I know.
when you-
I know.
So
I'm just
Lane
kidding.
asked for the registry, and Lane also had edited the song that they did their first dance to. So big shout out, Lane. And I said that is
Shout out to this podcast, which is the only reason I know how to use Audacity and could edit that song.
shout out. We want to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I told Lane specifically that was the only gift that they needed from them, and like more than enough, and they still went above and beyond and give them the AMC gift card. And they're big cinephiles, so shout out Lane.
That's why. Yeah, I've got to
I
support
feel
the
like
movie watching.
every gift giving holiday, I'm always just like, give me a fucking movie gift
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then my family is like, what could he possibly want for Christmas? And I'm like, hey, a Fandango gift card would be great. I love going to the movies. And they're like,
Do you need
so
slippers,
does he want like
or-
does
Yeah.
he need like new clothes?
Some socks.
And I'm like, listen,
I've got a hobby. It's a big one, right? Movies.
I need Texas, I need a chainsaw, and I need a
right.
massacre.
Can somebody please? 50 years ago, we had John Texas.
Oh god.
Oh,
Laughing at my own
We're
joke.
18 hours into the filming of the dinner scene.
here is what I'll say. Y'all should watch the second movie at the very
That's a
least.
tough sell.
Because
That is a
it is-
really tough sell.
It's a comedy. It's
I'm a
markedly
tough sell.
different than the first.
I'm endurance maxing.
It's a completely different vibe. It's a completely different everything. Like it's not a horror movie.
Interesting.
all right. Maybe
Maybe next year it'll be my Tobe Hooper Hooptober movie.
It's a great.
I
It's
will
great.
also commit to that. Maybe that possibility.
Oingo Boingo on the soundtrack.
Oh shit! Oingo Boingo.
That's the fucking.
That
That's the
does-
pitch that got Ricky to come
Okay.
I was gonna
through.
say
Ricky's
me
like,
too
"I'm
a little
a
bit.
tough
Yeah.
sell. You will never pitch this movie to me, and I'm like Oingo
He's
Boingo.
Oingo Boingo pilled.
I was gonna say
Also,
I'm
for
working
people who
Boingo
don't know
maxing.
what
Yeah.
people who don't know what Oingo Boingo is, Ricky's like, I'm a tough sell, and I go, oh okay, Oingo Boingo, and Ricky's like, what? Oingo Boingo?
You sold me. Why didn't you start with that?
Oh my god. We have to end.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Next week, The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
We want a whale.
Ah!
Ah!
All right.
Nick, thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thank you,
problem.
Nick. This was great. Shout out Nick.
Shout out Nick.
I was doing my shout
We
outs at
shouted
the
you out
end.
earlier.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, come on. What are you on?
We can
Here?
we can cut it
Yeah.
to like earlier in it. Future Lane, if you feel like if you're really
Yeah.
ambitious, you want to cut that at the beginning. I know you won't. I'm just
You know I
fucking-
will.
Will
too.
you actually?
Oh no, I will.
shit.
What do you have?
That's his mic. He's
What?
taking. that
Oh,
shit
I thought
apart.
you had power tools.
I thought you had a chainsaw.
Yeah, I can tell. Are you still recording? Are you done?
Are you? Do you
When
end
did
it
you
already?
stop recording?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm also
Well,
ending
we kept
mine
going.
here then.
We're not
Yeah.
done. Okay. Thrift shop.
What
No, for real. Ask your grandpa, can I have his hand-me-downs?